So anyway, hello and welcome to another edition of the ProtoBalls podcast. I'm ProtoMet.
Do you know who ate all the donuts?
It was me, Gordon. It was me all along.
I knew it, you rat bastard. You're fired. No test. No test today.
We're canceling the test today. Gordon is out sick.
And today we are joined by Barry.
Yeah.
Who is supposed to be here. I mean, his name's technically in the title, even if you decide to change it.
What the fuck, Barry?
I know.
And then joining us yet again is VeeJay.
Who, me? That's me. I'm VeeJay. I'm the VeeJay. I am the J with the V preceding it.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I went to my doctor about it. It's terminal.
Oh, no!
And today we are watching a third Dario Argento film. And would you like to be the one to tell them, everybody?
It's Clock Tower, the movie. I mean, am I wrong?
Yes, you're absolutely wrong. It's not The Burning.
Fuck off, you fucking you mongrel. But, yeah, we're talking about my favorite movie of all time, The Phenomena. I know that sounds weird. But, it definitely earns that title.
Oh, shit. Hold on.
Jeez, turn your phone off. Come on. I mean, who leaves their phone in the middle of Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, Phenomena, 1985. It's Dario Argento's second to last good movie.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof. I mean, that's giving this movie a lot of credit.
You fucking whore. I'm hurt by those words.
I did not realize that Dario Argento just kept making movies.
Oh yeah, he did.
Like, I saw that he had stuff like as recently as a few years ago.
But, nobody talks about them for good reason. Because, let's be honest, by the 90s, Argento had kind of lost the plot. He kind of went a bit mad. But,
crazy. As they would say in this movie, anyways. Let's be upfront here. Phenomena has some seriously outdated viewpoints on mental health. We'll just drop that right at the front of the show.
Unlike Suspiria, where like most of the characters are semi-likable, there's outside of the protagonists, there's like no likable characters here.
Yeah.
Almost all the side characters are like dicks, needlessly. They're needlessly antagonistic for no reason.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah,
except for that teller at the bank, he was nice. He was a good guy. He even wished them luck, as they went on their way. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Phenomena, 19XX.
1985, starring Jennifer Connolly. This was her second role after Labyrinth, I think.
I think this was before Labyrinth, actually.
I cannot remember.
I want to say this was like almost right before.
This was around the same time period as Labyrinth, so this was right when she was getting big.
Yes, so they definitely had a good cast call there.
And appearing alongside Jennifer Connolly is the great
Donald Pleasance.
the great Donald Pleasance.
Never heard of him.
Well, you should watch our Halloween video from a couple years ago.
Oh, which one? Oh, the Prince of Darkness.
Yes,
nailed
that
it.
one.
Yeah. I found it. No, you weren't on it, were you? No, that was the one you skipped.
That was the one I was unfortunately unable to join. But we did watch it. We did watch it,
and boy howdy, was it an experience. Yeah.
Hang on a sec. I'm pretty sure I was on.
No, you were on.
I'm pretty sure
I was on Mouth of Madness and
The Thing.
Oh yeah. Okay, I did. Huh. All right.
Yep.
I could have swore.
But this is one of Donald Pleasance's last roles. Mm-hmm. I mean, his very last role was the fucking god awful Halloween Curse of Michael Myers from like 91. which is very bad.
Don't mind VeeJay. He actually died, and he's morbidly obese, and we're just kind of rolling him around a bit.
Never heard that joke before. Oh dear Lord.
Yeah. Okay. So yes. Okay. So she was in Sergio Leone's last film, Once Upon a Time in America, which is a mob film in '84. Then she's this one, and then Labyrinth.
Okay.
So she's. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that she's involved with like a lot of big name directors and celebrities. You know. Because we've talked about Sergio Leone before.
Yeah, we have.
We have Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and all those other movies.
Yeah, I got to get around to watching those.
You should.
Yeah, seriously.
You know, I was at Walmart a few months ago, and they had them there for like the all three in like a bundle for $5, and I was like, I'll pass.
Ah, come on.
I regret it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, come on, like. That's like 6 hours worth of movies.
Also, I kind of figured you had them, so I could just borrow them.
I mean, I don't have the Good, the Bad. Well, I do. It's on YouTube. I bought it.
Oh,
I bought the YouTube.
That doesn't help me.
No,
yeah, it doesn't help me.
But I do own the first two, and I also own Once Upon a Time in the West, which
That's all right. That's what the internet's for. I can just go online. And
I highly suggest Once Upon a Time in the West because that one's a very classy.
But getting back to the topic.
Getting back to the topic of Jennifer Connolly, then she does this movie, which is one of Dario Argento's last good movies. All right, let's just put "good" in quotations because I know your mileage may vary.
Mm-hmm.
Comparing to you two. Even though
I think this movie's fine. It definitely has some issues, more so than maybe most of his catalog.
What's more of an issue than Motorhead?
Well, the fact that they're playing it during the just in the scene that they're doing it. I don't know if we're splitting spoilers on this one or not.
No. Motorhead's in this movie for no reason.
I'm pretty sure we probably should split the spoilers.
We'll split the spoilers.
Okay, you heard it here. You heard it live.
But that's not much of a spoiler that Motorhead's in this movie, and it's very incongruous scene.
The scene that they're in is a bit just weird and jarring, and there's Motorhead's in this, Iron Maiden's in this. There's some heavy metal bands in this from the era and.
And Claudio Simonetti.
It's just weird that they're used in the way that they're used. And by in this, I don't mean they are like physically in this. I just mean they did parts of the soundtrack or they licensed some of their tracks to be played during scenes that have no business being there. Yeah.
I think it's about time we should probably start talking about the actual plot.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Should we? I don't know. I want to talk more.
It's your favorite movie.
That's true. Well, as it were, Phenomena starts very much the same ilk as Suspiria. Really, just getting
shockingly it does.
Except instead of somebody trying to escape from something, it's somebody who just kind of trying to get on the bus.
Yeah. So whereas Suspiria sort of starts off with this very surreal opening. This one is a lot more scenic and a lot more calm, a lot more pleasant, if that makes sense.
So what happens in the opening is that there's a tour bus. Everybody gets off. They look at some stuff, and then everybody gets back on, except for one person who misses the bus.
We're in Switzerland, by the way. Don't know if that really matters or not, but
the Alps are in the background and everything.
So she winds up in a very, very unfortunate place at a very, very unfortunate time.
Yeah, she just sort of wanders into this house, and she's like, hey, is anybody here? And then she gets attacked, and the way she gets attacked is one of my favorite ways to just... One of my favorite chase scenes in general. Because she gets strangled by, like, iron bars. And then she gets away, and she's trying to open the door, and there's a pair of scissors that goes through her hand. And it's very visceral. It's a very visceral scene, and very striking, and very pleasant. to watch. Is a horror movie fan. But she escapes and then she runs up this path, this sort of forested path.
Yeah, this is all like scenic, beautiful, like nature paths, and it's like in a cave, and there's like a waterfall out right outside the window, like a naturally forming window in the cave, I guess I would call it. It's not like a glass window; it's just like a hole in the cave that you can look out and there's a waterfall there.
Yeah, but they put a window over it.
What?
At the end.
Huh?
Yeah. You don't remember?
Oh, that's right. There is a window. That's right, because she goes through it. Yeah. There's a nice slow-mo scene of her like smashing through the. And this was Dario's daughter, correct?
Yes, this was Fiore Argento. This was Dario Argento's daughter, one of his daughters, because I know there's also Asia Argento.
Okay.
But the slow-mo shot of the glass falling on her face is. I'm not sure how they did it. I have to imagine it's sugar glass.
It looks brutal.
It looks like a bunch of the bigger pieces just get stuck in her face. It's so like weird looking.
Smash against her face.
Yeah.
It's like, oh. And the killer's main weapon, like a collapsible spear.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's not introduced yet, is it?
No, it's not introduced
We're
yet.
just dealing with the scissors right now. More of a weapon of what's the word? Weapon of convenience.
A weapon of convenience, weapon of spontaneity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this woman is fucking dead. She is dead as a doornail, and
she gets decapitated.
She gets decapitated. Her head falls into the waterfall.
Yeah,
and it's like a very spectacular scene.
Yeah. Unlike stuff that we've seen up to this point, where it's all shot and it's bloody and gory and visceral. This is more of like they pan the camera out from like the window, and it's kind of like at a 45-degree angle, so it's like parallel with the window.
Yes.
So you can see like the back of her head. And that's about it. And then you just see her head roll out the window and fall into the waterfall. And
I wasn't even entirely certain if that's what I was seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. You blink and you miss it, but like you see it rolling down. And
it's a good shot.
It leaves you wondering, did she just get decapitated?
Yeah, and it's not. And you know how like in Halloween, whatever Halloween it was, the one where Jason punches the dude's head off.
Jason, huh?
Oh, I'm
Jason
sorry.
and Halloween?
Sorry, Friday the 13th. I'm tired. I
don't know what you're talking about. There were only 4 of those movies.
Yeah.
They
only made 4.
Shut the fuck up.
They only made 4, and the one where he fights Pinhead.
Leatherface versus Jason would be an interesting fight, although I'm pretty sure Leatherface would win.
I don't know. Maybe you should read the comic to find out if it was.
I don't know. I mean, Ash always wins, though.
That's true. Except against Howard the Duck.
We don't talk about that.
Oh, we've gone in digression into digression into digression. Let's get back to phenomena.
Yeah, you know how, like, in Friday the 13th, part 8, Jason goes to Manhattan.
No, I don't, because there were only 4 of those movies.
And he punches shut the fuck up for, like, 5 seconds. And he punches the dude's head off. And it rolls off. Now, that one's played for laughs. This one's not played for laughs at all.
This one's
I don't know. I'm laughing.
You're like snip.
Bumps.
But so then we cut to Monkey.
Monkey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Monkey.
I can't talk. You take it away.
Monkey.
A monkey named Inga.
And she returns to the house of one Dr. John McGregor, played by Donald Pleasance in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
He only has to do half the work to get the full performance.
Oh, that's rude.
What? Come on!
That's bad, and you should feel ashamed.
Oh my god. All right, welcome to the newly renamed VeeJay podcast.
We've excised Barry.
He is canceled.
Come on, you gotta, come on. It was done in good taste. Come on.
I don't know about that.
It's all in good fun. Listen, I'm not making fun of anybody who's handicapped. I saw the joke and I took it.
Sure kind of looks like you're punching down.
I can't punch down any further. Come on. It's me.
Alright, I would say punching down, but you are talking about Donald Pleasance, who probably was pretty wealthy in his day.
Yeah.
So we'll just say he was punching up. Why not? I don't care. Let's move on.
But Donald Pleasance in a wheelchair. He's in a wheelchair. That's just his character.
There's an explanation for it later in the movie. He is an entomologist who is being visited by a pair of inspectors who have brought with them a piece of evidence of a murder. Maybe.
Perhaps.
Possibly.
And we're introduced to one of our main characters, Inspector Geiger.
Mm-hmm.
And he only shows up in a couple of scenes, but he's a major character.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, the plot can't really roll forward without him. So
no,
he's kind of integral to the plot.
He's kind of the exposition dump. Would that be?
Yes, a little bit.
He's the locomotive for the viewer.
He is exposition. If he wasn't in this movie, there'd be parts of it that would be like, but why? But why? But why?
Exactly. But so they take out
So it'd be like Suspiria.
It'd be like Suspiria. Yeah, maybe that's what was wrong with Suspiria. They didn't have an exposition guy. or they had the exposition guy and he only showed up for like 10 minutes tops.
But so they uncover this headless corpse.
This
bodiless head.
Yes.
This bodiless head.
God damn it.
Not a headless corpse. This is not Ichabod.
They've got the head, they're looking for the corpse.
Yeah.
Got it.
But the very distinct feature of this head is that it is covered in maggots.
I would assume that maybe that would end up being the case. I don't think that's too distinct.
I mean, like, it's still covered in maggots.
Yeah, and John McGregor's like, oh yeah, it's like 8.5 months, because, the wind, and the weather, and the flies.
But yeah, the entire reason they're there is they're trying to get information from him as an entomologist as to roughly the time frame of when this murder occurred.
Yeah, he studies cadaverific species.
Did you just make that word up?
No.
That sounds like a made-up word.
It sounds like a made-up word, but I think it's a real word.
Cadaverific. Why is there not a horror movie named that?
Because they thought Anthropophagus was the apex.
Oh, I'm still waiting on Sharkano.
Please, no.
But they make it a point in this scene to indicate that they weren't aware that entomologists could have help in criminal investigations. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here having watched like a whole bunch of CSI when I was younger. I was like, there's a main character in that whose whole deal is he's an entomologist.
Well, yeah, but that takes place in like the
2000s.
That's besides the point. Time is irrelevant.
The thing is, entomological investigation of crimes were sort of a new thing.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming...
I'm just saying that for me personally, I was sitting here already knowing who Gus Grissom was.
I'm just going to assume that that's true for the sake of this plot.
Yeah.
I would be very interested to see when that was a thing.
You don't know. It could have been as far back as the 70s or so.
It could have been.
Because DNA testing wasn't even a thing until the 90s.
I do like the fact that this movie does have a decent pacing in terms of its exposition.
Unlike this podcast.
Oh, look at that. 20
we'll be
minutes
here all
in.
week. That's how long it'll take to finish this podcast. All week.
I'm here till Thursday. So then, it's a lot of exposition here, a lot of talk, and a lot of it makes sense. Just like from a viewer standpoint, it's like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah.
Cool, and we haven't even been introduced to our main character yet.
No.
Or the monkey. I mean, aside from the introduction.
Oh my god, can we talk about
Inga?
Can we talk about Inga and Donald Pleasance?
Oh yes, please.
They're just Hollywood's cutest couple. It's so adorable. I think I broke him.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Inga's the best monkey for more than just the fact that it's a cute monkey talking to Donald Pleasance, and Donald Pleasance is talking to a monkey. Something that sounds insane until you see it, and then you're like, oh yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
Basically, the gist is that Donald Pleasance has a helper monkey who is able to help him with stuff thanks to a laser pointer, which is absolutely massive because it was the 80s.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that at the time, but now that you mentioned it, that thing was ginormous. That thing was like the size of like...
I mean, when you think of a laser pointer these days, you think of like the pen you're holding. Yeah, about that size.
It was about the size of an external hard drive.
Bigger than that.
It was about the size of an 80s TV remote, if not earlier. Maybe a 70s.
Maybe two of those. It was about half the size of an 80s cell phone.
Yeah, the big old bricks. But yeah, so now we're finally introduced to our main character, Jennifer Connolly's character.
You didn't even mention how McConnell told Inga off for finding that scalpel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he called Donald McGregor.
McGregor, what did I say? McDonald?
He said McDonald.
Old McDonald had a farm. EIA. Oh!
I got close. Also, is this Donald Pleasance's actual accent, or...?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's actually Scottish.
Okay. I was merely asking out of curiosity.
Yeah, when people watch Donald Pleasance, they're kind of surprised because they usually see him at Halloween, right? And he's like, oh yeah, he's got an American accent, and a bad American accent, I should say, not a very good one. But no, if you watch him in You Only Live Twice, he's got the same accent. Okay. So.
I forgot he was in James Bond.
Yep. Yeah, he is a James Bond villain.
He's been all over the place, hasn't he?
He has. He had a very weird career.
I'm just going to shut this one down. We're going to start a new podcast, the Donald Pleasance podcast. Where we talk about Donald Pleasance.
See you then, guys.
See you then.
Get out of here, Barry. You're still canceled.
All right. Hello, everybody, to the Donald Pleasance Literary Podcast.
What did we just say? You were canceled.
Where we read Donald Pleasance's biography.
And fan fiction?
And fan fiction, of course.
and both combined.
Ooh, spicy.
Try and figure out what's real.
Yeah, no, Donald Pleasance talks, wags
scolding for having stolen a scalpel.
For having found a scalpel somewhere, just outside in the trash. Who the fuck does that? Who drops a scalpel in the trash?
Was it in the trash?
I'm pretty sure
I was under the impression that she had swiped it from his work station.
I can't remember.
And he was like, no, don't do that. This will hurt.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she just stole it from his office or something.
Maybe.
Pretty sure.
I don't know. Anyways, this scene is over.
Jennifer Connolly!
Yay!
Also named Jennifer Corvino, because why the fuck not?
It was, as revealed throughout the movie, but not really a super huge plot point. She's the daughter of a famous movie star who doesn't actually show up in this movie.
No.
I think more movies should have their actors and actresses play characters that are named after them.
Yeah. But yeah, you've got Jennifer Connolly playing Jennifer Corvino, who later plays Jennifer Simpson.
Gets repurposed into Jennifer Simpson.
She doesn't, but yeah.
She does. No, you take Jennifer Connolly from this movie, and you put a side-by-side picture of Jennifer Simpson, her portrait. Mm-hmm. It's...
For context, it's from the SNES game Clock Tower.
It's the exact fucking same.
Yeah.
I just realized this is your favorite movie and Clock Tower is your favorite SNES game.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's some sort of correlation.
Probably coincidence.
I think it's coincidence. But yeah, it's another thing. Yeah, so she's talking to... She's in a limo, a sort of limo, a van.
With Daria Nicolodi.
With Daria Nicolodi.
Hooray!
Who is
who's very nondescript in this movie. Let's just call a spade a spade. She's very nondescript in this movie.
Yeah, she's not nearly as charismatic as she was in Deep Red.
Yeah.
Which is, it's probably for the best given the way the movie goes.
But yeah, she's just sort of there,
There.
And
hanging
she
out.
kind of freaks out when she notices that Jennifer's got a bee on her hand.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's got a gun!
The bee?
Yes.
Bees.
Fuck!
Bees. My God. But yeah,
How was I not the one to say that?
yeah,
I've actually seen the context for that.
Yeah, Jennifer's got it, cradled, and it's gotta be a real bee because they do a close up of it.
Oh yeah.
So
But this scene basically establishes not only that Jennifer is the daughter of a celebrity, but also she is really good with insects.
Like super duper good.
she loves insects.
She's the insect whisperer.
She doesn't even have to whisper.
No. And
Spoilers.
so she arrives at
Sorry.
the as they call it, the Richard Wagner School for Girls.
Which just pissed
Shut
me
the-
off.
Yeah,
Shut the fuck up.
To be fair, though,
Richard Wagner.
to be fair, for years I thought it was pronounced Wagner.
It's not. Yeah.
I mean,
for
one good.
reference, it's Richard Wagner.
Wagner.
Who's probably the most famous for his Nibelung operas.
Didn't he also? Yeah, he also did Rise of the Valkyries.
His Nibelung operas.
Yeah. I'm just saying, he wrote. Who did?
I know.
Who did Carmen?
That's part of it. Who did Carmen?
Who did Carmen?
Carmen Mi Amor.
I'm pretty sure that
Shut the fuck up, you Spanish loser.
I'm pretty sure it was Broderbund.
Been playing too much Punch Out lately.
What, Carmen Sandiego?
No.
No, that was
Pretty sure they wrote that.
No, that was Load Runner. That was Load Runner.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Richard Wagner did not do Carmen though.
I don't know what Carmen is, so you've lost me.
Carmen's a famous opera as well.
Reel it back in. Let's reel it back in.
Anyway, it's a.
Fuck you. They can't see that.
Good.
But you did.
I did.
No context.
Just like in Frankenstein.
Ba-da-ba.
But yeah, so they arrive at the Richard Wagner School for Children. School for Girls.
Why'd you say that to me like that?
Because I wanted to annoy you. And yeah, you know how like Miss Tanner's like, oh yeah, she seems fine. Yeah, no, the headmistress in this is just like complete
Bitch.
total bitch. Just like
unapologetically a bitch.
she's just like, fuck you, I hate women, I hate children, I hate girls, I hate all of you. This is my school, and I'll do whatever the fuck I want. Sophie, if I see you smoking again, that's it. You're getting your fucking ass kicked.
You're getting the
You've
nails!
been introduced.
Yeah, so
Sophie is Jennifer's roommate at the academy.
Which we quickly get introduced to here.
yes. And she's a smoker, and that's a big no-no at the school, but she doesn't give a shit. Yeah, as soon as the
She is I don't give a shit personified.
Yeah,
Yep.
as soon as the headmistress shows up, she takes her cigarette and puts it in like a wooden
Cupboard
cabinet.
Uh-huh.
drawer.
Like a dresser drawer.
There's like a dresser drawer, and it's like, what the fuck? No chill.
No chill.
No, it doesn't even put it out or anything.
No.
Yeah, and so the headmistress sort of badgers Jennifer, takes a poster of her dad.
And I think at this point that we actually learn for sure that this character is her dad.
Yep.
And so apparently Sophie is a huge fan. To the point where she practically grills Jennifer over it.
She's like, I know your life more than you know your life.
Oh yeah? Christmas Day.
Dun, 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 dun.
Long story short, Jennifer explains the Christmas Day where her mom just kind of left them. And her dad was like, best 13th gift I ever got.
Yeah, it's weird.
All year.
It's just weird. It's really, like, it comes out of nowhere. Because they're asking about her dad, and Jennifer's just like, oh yeah, you want to know how my mom left?
It's like, no, but I'm going to tell you about how my mom left.
It was Christmas Day, 1945.
Yeah.
We had just beaten the Germans.
Sure. I'm confused.
Soccer.
Oh. You know I don't follow Pro Evolution Soccer.
You know what? That's even funnier because 1945 we beat the Germans. World War II ended, right? So you're like, yeah, we beat them in soccer.
Anyway, the point of this is that Jennifer is basically detailing a minor detail of her backstory to convince her that, yeah, no, I actually am his daughter.
So, Jennifer sleepwalks, by the way.
She's a somnambulist. That's a big word. Bet you didn't know that word existed.
Shut the fuck up, you whore. But, and another girl's being chased by somebody.
And Jennifer, while sleepwalking, kind of stumbles upon it outside of a building on the second floor.
So she somehow wanders onto, like, a balcony. Or, like...
Not even a balcony,
an awning.
Like the ledge of a roof.
Yeah. I think she stumbles on an awning.
I think I blinked at some point, so I initially just kind of thought that she was just having psychic visions. It wasn't until actual interaction with physical stuff that I realized, oh, she is sleepwalking.
Oh yeah, and another thing, Iron Maiden's playing here. No reason, just
this isn't Flash of the Blade. It's the other song that's in the movie that I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's an Iron Maiden song, so there's that. But yeah, she witnesses this woman getting killed with like a spear through the mouth.
Gosh, if she would have been any closer, she would have got hit by the blade too.
Yeah. This chick comes through the window. You know, like her face first. She goes through the window
and then gets stabbed through the back of the head.
Yeah,
with the blade coming out of the mouth, and this is the signature spear weapon.
Yep. Which honestly, I'm just gonna say it. It's very underwhelming.
What? Really? You think this scene's underwhelming?
No, the weapon. Oh, the spear is very.
Yeah, the weapon's really underwhelming because like it you see it every time that there's about to be a kill, and then like during the conclusion, it's like, oh yeah, it's aside. It's like Chekhov's gun, except it wasn't loaded.
I'm just saying, if it had been scissors.
Slap!
If it had been scissors, yeah, it would have been the burning.
Yeah, but nobody likes the burning.
Exactly.
Justin Wang would kick your ass. He did a video on that recently.
Well, like I said, nobody likes the burning.
So you're saying a guy who has more subscribers than both of us combined is nobody. Wow.
Hey, you said it, not me.
To be fair, subscriber count is not validation. Continue.
But yeah, so Jennifer sleepwalks off the ledge, gets caught up, walks out.
Winds up in a bush.
Winds up in the middle of the street, somewhere. Just somewhere.
Almost gets hit by a car.
Does get hit by a car.
Well, I mean, when you say it like that, it's like, oh, well, we just killed our protagonist. Guess this is a Donald Pleasance solo feature. Donald Pleasance and the Monkey.
Fuck, that should be a drama.
Oh, Jesus.
I want to see that movie.
I don't.
Donald Pleasance and the Monkey.
John and Inga.
It's Thursday at 6.
But yeah, so these two Swiss...
Maybe it was a sitcom.
These two... What, like Hitler and Bill Cosby?
No. God, no.
That's an old joke. I don't know if you... That's a Who's Line joke. Yeah. Okay. So they had a side tangent.
No side tangents. Movies.
Get back to this.
You can cut it out if you want.
You can YouTube this. Go.
We're not cutting anything out.
There we are.
Nothing gets cut except for that one part.
Yeah. So they did Hitler. Long story short, they did Hitler and Cosby, but they couldn't do it. They were like barred from doing it.
Yeah, I know the story.
They were like, oh, you can make fun of blind people. You can't make fun of Hitler.
Yep.
Anyway, she gets hit by a car and some Swiss dudes who I think they're trying to take her to the hospital and she's freaking out.
And she jumps out.
She jumps out of the car.
Rolls down a hill. These dudes are like, oh, we got it. Yeah, okay, bye.
And then Inga shows up and takes her to John's place. You know, fuck it. I'm just going to keep calling him Donald Pleasance.
Please don't, because otherwise you're just going to call him, oh, Dr. Loomis, like you did in fucking Prince of Darkness.
No. I'll call him Donald Pleasance.
Its name
at least I can remember that name.
How do you not remember John? It is the most white meat, normal, common name there is.
I know.
Are you just...
But the character is played by Donald Pleasance.
He's got a point.
Fuck it.
Like, do I want to go with a generic name or Donald Pleasance?
Alright, well, you got me there. But anyway, yeah, so John's like, yeah, you remind me of somebody I knew. One day she disappeared. Here, have her coat. That's kind of how the scene went.
Yeah, I mean, it's more portrayed as like, oh, yeah, I used to have a research assistant. Do you maybe want to be my new research assistant? I could sure use some company.
And it's
That came off way more Family Guy than I intended to.
Hey, Mr. Paperboy.
God.
It's me, Herbert.
I mean, admittedly, Donald does kind of give up that vibe in this scene, but not like in earnest.
But yeah, it's kind of implied that his last assistant, Helga...
Well, I think it's more than implied because Jennifer, like, straight up says, oh, was she killed by the murderer?
Yeah, right. But it's...
So clearly, the killing spree has become public knowledge. For Jennifer to just casually mention it.
Well, no, because it's mentioned by Sophie. She's like, yeah, there's a killer here at the school. And it's like, well, why?
Well, not at the school, but, like, in the area.
Yeah. And it makes me question things about this school more and more.
I'm still trying to figure out what kind of school it is.
It's just a school.
Just a school.
Okay.
It's a school for girls.
Oh, Sophie.
Switzerland.
By the way, yeah, Sophie.
It's just one of those run-of-the-mill Richard Wagner. Yeah.
Richard Wagner.
Richard Wagner School for Girls, you know.
But yeah,
They
it's
have dozens of those.
It doesn't matter what school it is.
No,
though.
it's not
He
that.
never goes to classes. No one ever goes to classes in this.
Side note, Sophie.
No, there's a poetry class.
Side note, Sophie's
I don't
French.
remember it.
Yeah, that's a little side character moment. Yeah, she's French. Sophie is French.
Sophie's French.
Sophie is French.
What about Rita? The missing assistant.
Okay, I want to talk about that. Is she supposed to be the one from the beginning of the movie that got her head lopped off?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't so.
believe so.
Okay.
Yes, she's not. Because McDermott, Donald Pleasance, is like, yeah, one day she was supposed to come here, and then she just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So she's pretty well dead.
So it's implied she was killed between visits.
Yeah.
Whereas the person at the beginning of the movie was killed while on a tour with a bunch of people.
I see.
But, yeah.
That was also 8.5 months ago, presumably.
Yes. That one's the first murder.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense given the chains from the beginning of the movie that were in the wall that break loose. As if they were holding back some snarling beast.
Yeah. I'd kind of forgotten about those until the end of the movie.
But, that said, get up to speed.
John basically tries to tell Jennifer a neat trick about dealing with her sleepwalking. And it's really just to remind herself that she's sleepwalking and that she needs to wake up.
And that, and it actually helps later on in the movie.
But she's initially dismissive of it because of how very rare it is for her to actually be sleepwalking. Like, the fact that she even was sleepwalking at this point was kind of weird to her.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so then she returns to the school, and
they immediately try to give her an EKG.
Yeah, this is where, like...
This is where things get a little,
legally gray.
And, like, morally black.
And morally black and legally gray. Because, they strap Jennifer to this EKG machine, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, you...
strap her, but practically.
They practically strap her to this thing.
I mean, she's able to get up and leave.
They force it upon her.
She didn't ask for it. They do it all without her consent, causing her to actually storm off because she is, quite frankly, insulted that they think she's either insane, two other things, or stoned.
Yeah, like, it's just weird that this would be, like, the reaction of, like, anyone when they find out, oh, you sleepwalk. Okay, that's weird. We're just gonna strap a bunch of electrodes to your brain and try and figure out why.
Yeah, even
I can kind of understand, like, where the doctors are coming from in this scene, because they're just like, hey, you know, this is, like, onset schizophrenia and stuff. We should probably look into this, and that makes sense. And then Jennifer's reaction is just like, oh, you think I'm crazy? Well, I'm having none of it. And that weirds me out just as much as the school board being like, no, you have to take this treatment because we said so. So, like, there's no winners in this scene except, like, maybe the doctors.
Well, no, even the doctors are like, well, yeah, you could have a fucking alter ego in your sleep or some shit. And it's like, no, or she could just sleepwalk.
Yeah. Who knows? I think for this plot to work, though, we have to buy into the fact that
it's the 80s and people don't know mental health.
That the split personality thing is a thing,
even though it's not.
It's definitely a thing. But in this case, the way that they're
Jennifer does kind of allow it to happen a bit, but mostly in protest.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually starts to spark some of her own memories that she had forgotten of when she was sleeping.
Right, because we didn't mention that when she was sleepwalking, she doesn't remember any of it. But I mean, she definitely reacted to
seeing
a murder.
She just didn't recall anything until they put her on the EKG.
Yeah, and even worse is the headmistress. It's just when the cops arrive to interview,
Oh yeah, just ignore everything she says. She's crazy.
Yeah.
She's a witness to a murder.
Mm-hmm. Possibly.
She's she's possibly a witness to a murderer. Don't listen to anything she says.
Makes sense.
It's like the opposite of Suspiria.
Mm-hmm. Although, I will say, I have my reason. I have a reason why I think that the headmistress is so bitchy to her, and it has to do with another character behind the scenes that we don't see often.
Yeah, maybe you might be right.
Because it's a theory of mine. It's a your mileage may vary. A category.
Without going into spoilers, I think that could have something to do with it.
Well, I'll talk about it in the.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the spoiler section.
But, so,
after Jennifer storms off, declaring that she's not crazy or stoned...
There's a couple of... Yeah, so,
She goes to one of the phone booths at the academy and calls up her dad's attorney/agent.
And he's not there.
He's not there because it's, what was it, Rosh Hashanah?
Passover.
Passover.
Yep, it was Passover.
I knew it was a Jewish holiday.
Yep.
Which is kind of interesting.
It's fun. Morris, I think his name is.
Yes, it's Morris. I know. I say it's interesting because it's kind of unique to have that. Have a in the 80s in Europe have a Jew in film.
It's not explicitly said.
It's not explicitly.
I mean, Passover is a Christian thing too. It doesn't necessarily have to be Jewish, but spin off from.
I'm just saying because yeah, it's not common. That's what I'm saying.
I'll admit I kind of associate it more with Judaism than
Passover.
I think it's more I think it's definitely more celebrated in Judaism. Anything Old Testament is more celebrated than
right. But that said, so a lot of the girls start whispering about her. And they're like, oh yeah, you hear? She walks in her sleep. And they're unusually bitchy to her.
I know!
For no reason!
She's literally a new girl, and they immediately latch onto one flaw that happened
later
in a rare instance, and they just almost practically attack her.
Right, because she said she used to sleepwalk a lot when she was a little kid, but now that she's an adult, even though she's not an adult anyways, now that
teen angst.
Yeah, teen angst.
No,
The point is that they are attacking her for something that is both beyond her control and completely innocuous most of the time.
Yeah, like outside of maybe one other character and Sophie, none of these girls are likable. And unlike like Suspiria, you had likable characters even though they were flawed.
You even had a character who was unlikable right away and then turned out to be a bit more likable.
Yes!
Yeah.
So it is the reverse of Suspiria. This is an anti-Suspiria.
It very much is. Although it never, that's what
just blew my own mind.
It's the one thing that just sort of irritates me is these girls are needlessly antagonistic for no reason, for little reason. She never did anything to them.
Right.
But yeah, they go to class. Funny scene. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, that scene is rather pointless. There's just a scene where they're in a poetry class. Jennifer gets Sophie to say,
Sophie gets called on to explain the meaning behind the poem, and Jennifer basically feeds her answers.
And then at the end, she's just like, oh, say this, it'll be funny, and, Sophie...
No, she doesn't even tell her to say that.
Right.
She just says something, and Sophie assumes that she's supposed to just say it.
Yep.
And everybody starts laughing. And I think it's at that point that Jennifer's like, yeah, no, I think I'll like this girl.
But I think the main point of that scene is she's talking to Sophie about it, and she's like, yeah, I'm kind of scared because I think I witnessed a murder and I think the killer saw me. So if I sleepwalk again, I need you to watch out for me.
You're right. That's the whole point of the scene is that she just needs.
So
Sophie
it did
to
have
keep
a
an eye on
point.
her
It's
at night.
just that you kind of forget that the scene happens.
It's lost in the plot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Do we want to set it there?
I think we'll go until the next murder.
Okay.
And then have the cutoff point, because it's at that point that everything starts to go into spoiler.
Yeah, I mean, really, this movie is like a hour and a half lead up to the most batshit crazy ending of a movie you'll ever see.
So let's get to the next kill, and then.
Yeah.
So that night, Sophie breaks her promise and sneaks out of the dorm.
And it should be noted that she takes Jennifer's.
I was gonna say
jacket.
Her shirt.
The same one that she was wearing when she was sleepwalking.
And she goes out to meet her boyfriend. Yes,
it was.
Yes, okay.
It was the exact same one because it had the little golden eagle thingy on the
back.
The Wu-Tang Clan symbol.
Jesus!
I was trying to because I thought that was the one that Donald Pleasance gave her.
No.
Okay.
No, that was a jacket that she's wearing Jennifer's shirt.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And she sneaks out to go meet up with her boyfriend, who has to go off to do something, leaving.
Long story short, it serves a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And that purpose is for Sophie to get murdered.
Mistaken identity.
Exactly. And Jennifer starts to sleepwalk, but she manages to recall Donald Pleasance's advice and snaps herself out of her sleepwalking. But she hears Sophie screaming.
By the way,
I don't think she hears Sophie screaming. I think it's more that she
wakes up.
Wakes up and notices that Sophie's gone. I don't remember exactly.
Then she.
I'm pretty sure she hears Sophie screaming, and that's where she goes.
Either way would work. She goes out to look for Sophie.
Yeah.
And that's where we're gonna cut it off.
By the way, did you know Jennifer Connolly is only 50?
Yeah.
It was over 30 years since that movie came out, so.
Well, it's just it takes a while to remember that she started really young.
Yes.
She would have been around 15 or 16.
Yeah.
In this, wow.
Yep.
And they put her through the ringer.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Oh yes. All right.
Oh god. But yeah,
there's a very just God.
We'll get into that later in the spoiler
Okay,
section.
So, I'm sure we want to cut it off there. We can,
Yeah,
I feel we
go
should.
a little bit more. We could go.
I feel we should, because once we get past this point, we get into the...
we get into the why.
You also get into the scenes with Lagras, and you get the exposition.
Like Lagras.
Isn't that his name? Lagras? Inspector Lagras?
That's from Call of Cthulhu.
Oh, Jesus.
You're thinking of Inspector Geiger.
Geiger counter, yeah. Why did I pull Lagras? I haven't read that in a while.
So yeah, Inspector Lagras is from Call of Cthulhu. He's a minor character. He's a minor character within a.
I wouldn't even call him a minor character.
We're talking about a complete. Let's review Call of Cthulhu.
Hello and welcome to VeeJay podcast. Today we're talking about Call of Cthulhu.
I mean, hey, if you want to do a book series, I'd be down.
I already do a book series over on my other channel.
Fuck off.
Awesome.
So anyway, long story short, Lagras is a minor character within a flashback. Which is recounted by another side character.
Yep.
Who is already dead by the time...
Who's already dead.
Who's already dead by the time you're reading this.
Who's already dead by the time the person who's reading this read it.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's Inception.
So, favorite characters, alright? Favorite characters.
Sorry, I'm joking. Favorite characters? I mean, come on, it's Inga. Inga's like the best character in this movie.
Inga's so good. Inga's really good.
For once, I am actually going to go with the lead protagonist, Jennifer.
See, I was going to go... if nobody else was going to say Jennifer, I was going to say Jennifer.
Yeah, I mean, seriously speaking, Jennifer steals this movie. And my heart. Aww.
Yeah, so I read some contemporary reviews when it came out at the time. And a lot of them were just weird because they're like, oh yeah, Donald Pleasance, he really tries through this movie. But then there's Jennifer Connolly, and she doesn't even try. And it's like, I don't think that's fair.
I think that's perfectly fair, but I think she's just really charismatic, and like that just carries her. Like
I don't know.
She doesn't really need to try.
She mostly comes across pretty natural.
Yeah,
in her intonation.
She plays the character as an innocent, naive youth. All right,
as being played by presumably innocent, naive youth.
Yeah. So like,
what?
She doesn't have the same stumbling blocks that others from perhaps the same time.
Like, okay, I get
have.
Like, I get it. It's probably not a stellar performance as before and after, but it's fine.
I'm just saying she did a far better job than some other kid actors I've seen.
Right.
Yeah, I guess really the only comparison point at this point would have been Labyrinth and that other movie you mentioned.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in America, which was her first movie.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's kind of weird. Back to back to back, she goes Sergio Leone, Dario Argento, and then fucking Jim Henson and David Bowie. Really weird. She really got skyrocketed to the moon.
Yeah, that movie, Labyrinth made her, though.
Yeah, Labyrinth made her, yes. Made her a very good household name. Obviously, we got to talk about Donald Pleasance. Donald Pleasance is great. He's great in everything. Except...
Well, I mean, yeah, there's really only two characters in this movie, and it's Jennifer Connelly and Donald Pleasance.
Even Daria Nicolodi, who we were fawning over, is really
such a minor character in this movie.
I wouldn't go that far, but...
She is such a minor character in this movie.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. But, yeah, she's really not... She's really like a non-character. She's just there.
She was that... She seemed like a more believable, impactful character in Deep Red.
That's because she she actually drove the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was the... Well, she wasn't... No, she wasn't even the exposition.
I'm a little surprised I even recognized her. Not because she's unrecognizable. I'm just more surprised that I remembered what she looked like.
Carla would have been the exposition dump, wouldn't you?
Carlo? I don't know. That's a discussion for an older podcast. We unfortunately don't have time control.
But yeah, the movie really comes down to its three main characters, and Jennifer Connolly, Donald Pleasance, and Inga the monkey.
No, it's Inspector Lacrosse.
Yeah. I like Inspector Geiger though. He's fine.
Me too. Yeah, he's
just ribbing you, dude. Don't worry about it.
I know he was. I'm just saying. I'm mentioning Geiger because he's actually kind of a nice character.
You know what? I'm kind of surprised. We touched on it briefly, but the soundtrack to this movie is.
Yes.
I as much as I love Iron Maiden and am okay with Motorhead, they didn't really need to get the licensed tracks.
Not really.
It makes sense. It's very dissonant in the scenes that those are in.
He could have just gotten Goblin, but by that point, Goblin had broken up. Claudia Simonetti and all the other guys were just like, no, we can't. Too many differences.
Now, to be fair, the original music that was for this film,
yes.
the Claudio Simonetti collaboration, a banger. It's really
Splendid.
Good. It's really good.
As
usual.
The opening track for it, Bill Wyman and Terry Taylor, of one of them from the Rolling Stones. That one's probably my favorite track out of the entire album. Entire film. Because it has so much ambiance to it, and it's set to a backdrop of the Swiss Alps.
Yeah,
and the countryside.
I keep forgetting this takes place in Switzerland.
It's
not Sweden.
This is probably his most beautifully shot film based on the exteriors.
Oh yeah, just the setting.
Just the setting.
Although I would say like some of the outdoor scenes in Suspiria are pretty good.
Maybe. I don't know.
But not. I mean, the Swiss Alps. Come on, can you get more breathtaking than
I kind of feel like the setting was rather nebulous for this movie, to be honest.
I
kept forgetting it even took place out anywhere.
Right, I mean, the only reason that this takes place in Switzerland is just so they have an excuse to shoot this in Switzerland.
Yeah. Just so they can shoot the mountains. Really.
Yeah.
And honestly, hey, I'm fine with it.
It's fine.
Turned out fine.
It's good.
But yeah, the soundtrack is really good. What are your favorite scenes? Favorite scenes? I mean...
redacted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, it's like an hour and a half of exposition leading up to the most batshit crazy ending I've ever seen in a movie.
You were not ready for this. I was not ready for that.
I was so fucking giddy watching it with everybody, getting to watch it with everybody again, because I was like, here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes.
Oh, yes.
We'll discuss that once we get that far.
My mission in life is to get as many people to watch this movie as possible. And so if they're
become a religious zealot.
And so if they're if they're like, oh, I've never seen this movie, is it good? I'm like come.
And on that note, this was another one of those movies that had a few different edits. I haven't heard any bad things about different edits for this one, but it is worth mentioning that this movie also had an international title as Creepers.
And honestly, that's a worse title.
I think so.
Yeah,
Phenomena is a much better.
I mean, it can't. To be fair, it can't get much worse than The Hatchet Murders.
Yeah. The Hatchet Murders, where nobody had a hatchet at any point in the movie.
Well, not according to the back of the DVD case.
Yeah.
And as we all know, backs to DVD cases are the most reliable sources for information regarding what a movie's about.
Sometimes.
King Dinosaur.
I was actually going to more use Cartel 2045 as an example.
Never heard of it.
It's a obscure movie that has Danny Trejo in it as a cartel leader in Juarez, Mexico, and 2045. It's got robots and stuff, and according to the back of the box, it's about a military soldier who goes to Juarez to track down his brother's killer. Guess what has nothing to do with the movie?
A military soldier who goes to Juarez to track down his brother's killer.
Exactly. I mean, it does have a military leader who goes down to Juarez, but there's no mention of a brother at all.
I just have one thing. I have one problem with that entire plot. You're telling me Danny Trejo is not a cartel leader who will live until 2045? I mean, the man.
I didn't say he wasn't.
Okay, good.
But I will say this. He is the best thing about that movie.
Otherwise, we would have had to throw hands, because the man's a god.
I can't remove my hands to throw them. What are you, Mazinger Z?
Yes.
Makes sense.
Anyway.
Checks out.
What didn't you like about the movie? We already touched on Motorhead. Happens in a scene that makes no sense.
Yeah. What didn't I like about this movie?
Maybe the early pacing. I don't know. Because I think the pacing was a lot nicer than.
I don't know whether this is a pro or a con, but the complete and utter lack of foreshadowing in all instances.
That actually might serve to be a good thing in this movie.
Right, just to have like the ending be what it is.
Yeah.
Without any like hint at it whatsoever.
I'm going to disagree, but I'll leave my points for disagreeing when we get that far.
Okay.
I mean, is it because Clock Tower did a better job at foreshadowing?
What? No.
I mean, that's all I'd say.
I think the ending is actually pretty well foreshadowed in this movie.
Okay, I have a question. Do you think this movie is more popular or like well known now strictly because of Clock Tower, or do you think it's?
I would argue
I can't imagine it being the other way around.
I would agree with that point.
Yeah, it's
like as Clock Tower gained more exposure, this had to have gained a little boost.
The way
it's the only reason I watched it in the first place.
And boy, are you glad you watched it.
Oh, God, yes.
And the only reason that
it's a little hard to recommend, but I...
Well, yeah, this it would have been a cult... I mean, this is a cult classic.
Yeah, this is a cult classic film.
But, Clock Tower got really popular as a cult game, I want to say, probably in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mid to late 2000s.
When emulation became a thing.
And internet became even more accessible.
And I think
find out about games like Clock Tower.
Honestly, I think it's gotten even more popular as time has gone on.
Yeah,
I think more people are playing it now than ever.
That's fair.
I think more people would be playing it more now than ever at any point.
Right. Well, you know what I mean. Well, it's had more awareness than it's ever had. And I think by virtue of Clock Tower being what it is, and being pretty unabashedly a spiritual successor to this,
and Suspiria,
and
bits and pieces. I mean, like Clock Tower is kind of an amalgamation of bits and pieces of Dario Argento's work.
Yeah.
All right. Any other topics we got to go over with this movie before we?
Was there anything else we didn't like about it? I mean, there was the music. There's a bit of a lack of foreshadowing.
There is something I can't quite put my finger on, and maybe it's just because this movie is very. I don't want to like top heavy or not.
No.
It's the load bearing. It's very weighted towards the end.
Right.
Like, the best bits in this movie are in the last half an hour, and everything leading up to it is just kind of.
Mm-hmm. I would actually agree with that.
With the exception of maybe the opening scene.
Right. I would definitely say that the climax notwithstanding, this was my least favorite of the 3 Dario Argento movies we've watched for this.
Right, even as we shit all over Suspiria.
Yeah!
I would still recommend Suspiria over this one.
Like, I felt that one was more interesting. And this movie just kind of feels lacking in that regard. Ending notwithstanding.
I will brook no disrespect to this movie, thank you very much. But no,
well, it's a good thing you're not Brooke, then.
But, the movie is weighted towards the beginning and weighted towards the end. And It's not paced badly. I don't think it's paced badly at all. I think it's paced better than Suspiria, honestly.
Pacing, yes, but I think there's more interesting things going on between scenes.
There's more
Phenomena.
interesting elements in Suspiria than there are here, because this is a pretty straight thriller. It's a pretty straight thriller.
I can't agree or disagree.
I mean,
I think it's fine. Like that's ultimately my thing. Is like this movie's fine. I don't have any problems with it, but it's super hard for me to just be like, hey, you need to see this movie.
All right, well,
in a way that like, hey, you need to watch Suspiria at least once. I would not be saying the same thing about this movie.
Yeah, I guess. Of course, you don't need to watch it just once. You need to watch it 100 times.
Oh God, no.
You just need to watch the finale back to back to back.
I would do that.
7.5. That's my rating. I'm just going to put that out there. 7.5.
I'd go a little lower with a 6.
See, for me, I said this yesterday. I said this last night when we watched it. It's a 7 out of 10 thriller that it turns into a 10 out of 10 meme at the end.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That was a very good assessment.
So I give this movie, because of the ending, 10 out of 10.
Okay.
I don't care if people hate me for it. Like, it's my favorite movie of all time. I'm going to be biased towards it, obviously.
Of course you are.
I love this movie. Fuck.
Awesome. Do we want to move into recommendations then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
who wants to start?
I can't suggest Clock Tower, because I did that last time, which makes me sad.
You didn't do it last time. You recommended Clock Tower a long while ago.
Can I recommend it again?
Can I recommend it again?
No. We need to give the audience new stuff.
You're like you remember like Jimmy Neutron and follow me here. You know how what's his name? Sean?
Sheen?
Yeah, Sheen. You know how he keeps bringing in the same action figure every single day for show and tell? That's you. That's you, Clock Tower.
You're not wrong.
Hey, Sheen, this is the 8th time you brought it in.
You're not wrong. Alright, so I can't do Clock Tower, right?
Right.
Okay. How about Clock Tower 3? That one's just different enough.
Yeah.
It's a lot more unique. And it's actually a game I used to fucking despise and hate with all my fury and rage. Nowadays I'm just like, it's Clock Tower 3. It's a good time had by all. It's funny.
We've definitely mellowed out toward it. Clock Tower 3 is... I would definitely recommend playing halfway through that game.
No, agreed. I'd recommend playing all the way through, because it gets pretty fucking batshit at the end.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
so totally dissonant during the second half.
So, Clock Tower 3 has nothing to do with the original Clock Tower.
Name notwithstanding.
Name notwithstanding. This is the one made by Sunsoft and Capcom.
Yeah, completely, yeah.
And speaking of, I'm pretty sure the copyright has been abandoned by Sunsoft. I can't remember though.
On Clock Tower?
On Clock Tower.
I thought Capcom still had the...
No, Sunsoft owns it.
Oh, okay. So Capcom published...
Capcom published it, Sunsoft made it, yes.
I think it's the other way around, because Sunsoft would have published... I don't know. It feels more like a Capcom game. It feels like a Resident Evil game.
It's I guess a moot point because it was a failure because they haven't made any more.
Do you remember how excited we were when that first came out?
I think that was because we had recently found out about Clock Tower's existence.
And then we were like, oh, they're bringing one to the U.S.? Not realizing that there was one on the PlayStation already.
Yeah.
2 on the PlayStation in the U.S. already.
Too bad the second one was fucking terrible. I'm sorry, but that's one of like.
How did we not realize that though? I mean, it was literally Clock Tower 3. We never once sat down, or did we sit down?
I'm pretty sure we had figured out there were other ones. We were just excited that there was a new Clock Tower game.
I guess
at the time we found out that Clock Tower even existed.
My memory's a little fuzzy because that was right around the period where we were like, "Oh, Clock Tower, that's cool. Oh, Splatterhouse. Oh my God, Sweet Home. Oh.
I think it was because we discovered all these not kid friendly games on kid friendly consoles.
I just want to say
that Japan just wanted to keep all to themselves.
And I just want to say, if I have to point fingers at why I love Clock Tower so much, I blame you two for it.
Yeah, it's fair.
That's our fault.
Because you guys were like,
I'm not sorry.
no, don't be sorry.
Can't say I'm sorry.
I fucking love it, but you guys are like, yeah, that's a game. It's called Clock Tower. It's a horror game on the SNES. You know? I'm like, fucking Donkey Kong Country 3 system? Is that one? Yeah, that one? Zombies ate my neighbor's system?
Yep.
I'm like, fuck, I gotta play this. And then I spent all of high school playing it.
Like every day.
That's not a joke.
I know it's not a joke. I remember you telling me how you set up emulators on like all the computers, and like you had a copy of Clock Tower on every single computer in the school.
Yeah. Long story short, I was that kid in school.
That and Minecraft.
I was telling that to my friends the other day, and they're like, "Wow, what an enlightening life you led in high school." I was like, "Ouch!"
Yeah, get around. But we're reeling it back into Clock Tower 3 specifically.
But when Clock Tower 3, Clock Tower 3 came out, you guys were excited, and it's a very different game to the original and the others.
So what's it about?
It's about a girl named Alyssa Hamilton who comes back to her childhood home because her mom specifically tells her, "Hey, don't come back."
Seems all right.
I don't know. I should probably look into this and go home, despite her wishes.
Right? The letter specifically says, "Don't come back until after you're 15. Please, for the love of God, just listen to me here."
Look, Mom, I'm coming over to find out why you don't want me to come over.
Look, Mom, I want cake for my birthday, and I don't know how to fucking bake.
So she arrives, and God forbid, her mom's gone, and there's this weird guy hanging around.
And she winds up in a time warp in, like, World War II era London, or whatever.
World War II era London. And, like, from there, it goes fucking off the rails. Just, oh my god.
The atmosphere is pretty good during those first two levels.
Look, I'm just gonna say 2 words here. Corroder.
The corroder. That's one word.
I know.
Oh. You just reminded me of Paul Heyman for a second. I got 2 words. Hey, look, it's Edge. I got 2 words for you. Matt freaking Hardy. It's 3 words. It's 3 words. But, like, not gonna lie, I rewatched, like, a couple months back when I was thinking about Clock Tower 3 again, and I went through it. I'm like, God, that game is depressing. It's very, like...
Oh, yeah. The first half of the game's super duper depressing.
And then they introduced the axe guy who has relevance to what's actually going on.
Yeah, they introduced Chopper. Actually, he has a lot of relevance to what's going on.
Yes, but they introduce him as if he's like some sort of comic book supervillain.
Yeah.
Yes!
As opposed to like
the serial killers that they had prior.
That, like, could have existed in real life. Maybe he did based off.
One of them's based off a real one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. He certainly seemed like it.
Spoiler alert, the corroder.
Yeah, the corroder definitely seems way too real.
And then you get Chopper, who is a comic book villain. Like Joker levels comic book villain.
Like the levels of depression in the first half, you've got a father who fucking dies in the war, leaving his daughter behind, who wants to play piano at a recital for him, and she fucking fails the recital, and so she's depressed, and then she gets fucking murdered on Christmas. It's like, what the fuck?
With a sledgehammer.
With a sledgehammer. I'm like, oh, that's depressing. Also, the music that she plays, Fantasy Impromptu. Mm-hmm. That's a real song, by the way.
I would assume so.
Yep.
And then
all songs are real when they're recorded.
And then you get
right.
Then you get an impoverished man and his blind wife or not
It's a-
wife,
it's a-
not mother.
Mother?
Yeah, it's a toy maker and his
Blind mother.
blind mother.
Who then just get murdered. Just straight up murdered.
The scene shift is fucking amazing because
It's just like they're just having a nice quiet moment.
they're having a
And
family
then
moment.
a dude who kills people with acid shows up and murders both of them. It's
he's like, "Do, do, do, do.
Not-
hello? I am here to dump you in acid.
It's not even like that. It's
not
like
comically either. It's just like
No.
it's an intense scene. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah,
It's like
Shit!
imagine you're having a family dinner and somebody comes in with like a rigged up like pesticide dispenser,
Yeah.
and it's filled with acid, and he's just like,
It's like, what the fuck?
yeah.
And then you have Chopper who's just like, I throw axes.
I'm coming to get you, Alyssa.
I don't have a shirt on and I'm camp.
Yeah,
I love his laugh.
the way
His laugh is burned into my mind. I haven't heard it in years, and I can still.
But the way the scene plays out is that the son puts the shawl over the mom, and then the guy just busts open. He's like, "All right, that's enough playing happy family."
Seriously, the first two killers are grungy as fuck. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the first fucking Alyssa, I smell you.
Oh Jesus, no! I knew I should have worn deodorant.
And then the third level, the literal sewer level.
Fuck the sewer level. Oh, Chopper's great. I love Chopper, even if he's fucking camp.
Oh, I love Chopper too. Like, but it's everything after that point that's just like, this game went off the rails real quick.
Yeah, the biggest
So
problem.
I was following you
Like-
at this point,
like-
and then suddenly this has nothing to do with anything.
Like when you get to Chopper, it's like, okay, it's a little weird, but I'm still here. I'm still along for the ride, and
Grandpa!
and then it just
Dad!
it just kind of.
No, the worst part, like the thing about Chopper is he's supposed to be the big bad subordinate. Yeah.
I know!
And he's like, yeah, I'm the, because he presents himself as like, yeah, I've killed a lot of your kind. Fuck it. Be scared of me.
Yeah.
Although I love how he's like, it's a game to him.
Yep.
Whereas the other ones, they're just like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. To him, it's like,
Fucking kill you.
I'm gonna fucking kill you, you fucking tax cheat.
What?
I'm sorry, I went IRS there for a second.
And then this is what kills me the most about that game, though, is the
Scissor Twins.
Because it's obviously supposed to be like a super duper cool reference to
It's
the
a-
old clock tower. Remember,
it's
remember
fan
old
service.
clock towers, guys? We love the clock tower. You want the clock tower?
Except instead of citizens, man, you just got two mediocre Kefkas.
Just annoying.
Chop chop,
annoying.
chop chop, chop chop.
Also, one of them's a girl, because why not?
No, see,
There's two of them now. Isn't that cool?
the thing,
They look like Kefka!
the thing about the Scissors Twins is that they are fan service done bad.
Yep. Nope, that's exactly what killed that. I mean, you just nailed it right there on the head. That is exactly why I would just recommend
It
playing
would be-
halfway through. Clock
It would have been interesting. I mean, personally, this is just me. It would have been interesting if you had a Scissor Man as your first villain, and him being the weakest, and just like, yeah, there you go. There's your Scissor Man. He's first up, first done. All right, let's move on.
If there was one,
If there was one.
and it was actually played straight,
Oh yeah.
And
I
not
would have
Kefka.
been fine with it.
I don't know why you act like Kefka's not played.
I'm
straight.
not saying that Kefka's bad. I'm just saying they look like Kefka, but are terrible. They are mediocre Kefkas.
I think this game would have went better if they had gone this route. Start you off with Sledgehammer.
Yep.
Then go to Chopper.
Yep.
Then go to the
Corroder.
No, not Corroder. Go to the
Scissor Man?
Go to the Scissor Twin, and then end with Corroder. Because Corroder is such a highlight, and
He puts things on a high note.
And the final boss, no, just no. I mean, by this point, we don't care anymore.
Yeah.
The thing about the final boss is he's such fucking bullshit to deal with.
He's really cool at the beginning of the game, but by the time you get to face him, it's just like I stopped.
Once you actually
I've stopped caring about you as a person.
He turns into a fucking medieval knight.
Yeah. Ugh.
And he's just like...
Well, I mean, that's to fit the theme, because the Scissors Twins are medieval.
He has one attack that is instant kill, and it's just like, fuck you. Fuck, why would you put that in the game?
Well, he's the final boss, I would expect.
He's a final boss. You don't put an instant... It's like in Resident Evil. There's only 2 instant kill instances. 3, technically. It's the shark and the boulders. Alright?
What about the ceiling?
I call bullshit on the boulders because Chris could clearly punch those to death.
Yeah, he could have just went like...
That was before he did steroids.
Right. That was before the McMahon steroids trial.
Yeah, no, after.
Shut your face.
But,
Alright, shut it for
Give us your final thoughts.
The Clock Tower 3 is just... it's a fun time. It's a wild ride. It also is directed...
this blew my mind when I found this
It's directed by the man who did Battle Royale.
Same director.
I've never seen that movie.
It's why it's why the cutscenes are filmed the way they are, because it's FMV. Or not FMV.
It's not FMV.
No, not FMV. That's not the word I'm thinking of. It's rotoscope? Is that what it is?
No.
Mocap?
Mocap. It's mocap. Motion captured.
Yeah, rotoscope is taking 3D and turning it into 2D.
But yeah, it's motion captured, and that's why the character movements are so fucking weird. You know, they're very jerky.
Well, I mean,
it's fine for like an unsettling game.
Right. No, I mean, you got Alyssa and what's his name? What's his fucking name? The boyfriend?
The other guy?
Not boyfriend.
The guy?
The character I keep forgetting exists until I remember he exists. And it's like, oh yeah, him.
And the way they move, it's very over-exaggerated.
Yeah, I much like most of the stuff in this game.
Yeah. I can smell you. But yeah, Clock Tower 3, give it a try.
Yeah, go ahead and give it a whirl if you
I don't know
several, if you want to buy an expensive PS2 game.
Another game like it I would also suggest is Haunting Ground, but that's a different thing.
I still need to play that one, so yeah, we'll get to that one eventually.
I have no frame of reference for that one.
Unfortunately, I am so pissed that I did not buy Haunting Ground and Rule of Rose back when those originally came out, because I would be a very rich man if I decided to sell them.
Yeah.
Same with Clock Tower. Clock Tower is pretty expensive too.
Yeah, Haunting Ground is like fucking what, $300 now?
Yep. And Rule of Rose is $600 at least.
They're very expensive games.
Very expensive games. I've heard Rule of Rose isn't really that good though.
Rule of Rose isn't that good.
I just remember being like
it's an interesting,
intrigued by it.
It's an interesting experience. Yeah. There's also the in joke that Haunting Ground is canon with Resident Evil 4.
Well, Haunting Ground originally was supposed to be Clock Tower 4.
No, I said Resident Evil 4.
Right, but I'm saying Haunting Ground was originally supposed to be Clock Tower 4.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they decided, no thanks. Actually, I wouldn't have minded if it was Clock Tower 4.
I feel I should address the numbering issue with the Clock Tower games.
Right, the clock.
You've got Clock Tower, Clock Tower, Clock Tower 2 Ghost Head, Clock Tower 3, and Haunting Ground.
And Nightcry.
It's very simple, okay? And this is
and what's the new one again? I can't remember.
Remothered.
Remothered, yes.
It's very simple. This is the system I use. The SNES game, First Fear. PS1 game, Clock Tower. Struggle Within, we don't talk about it. Clock Tower 3, Haunting Ground, Rule of Rose, Remothered, and we don't talk about Nightcry.
Well, Rule of Rose isn't really connected to them.
No, Rule of Rose is not connected to them. It's just got similar games.
It's just a very similar game that came out around the same time.
I just feel like if we're talking strictly the Clock Tower games, with Clock Tower in the name, James could make a minor chronologically confused video about that.
Agreed.
Because we got Clock Tower, Clock Tower, Clock Tower 2, and then Clock Tower 3.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Clock Tower, the first few, never came out. So
I know.
So
I get why the second game is simply called Clock Tower in the US. I'm just saying, you've got the SNES Clock Tower, the PlayStation Clock Tower, which is technically Clock Tower 2, Clock Tower 2 Ghost Head, which is technically Clock Tower 3, and Clock Tower 3, which is technically Clock Tower 4.
If James were European, he would have an argument for that. Because the Europeans got Clock Tower Ghost Head, and Clock Tower 3. They never... Clock Tower 2 Struggle Within was never named that.
Okay.
I prefer Ghost Head.
I prefer to never hear the word clock tower in the rest of this podcast.
So then they go up to the Clock Tower.
Oh my god. We good on
We're good on Clock
CT3?
Tower. We're good on Clock Tower 3.
All right.
I've overclocked myself.
I don't have a recommendation because I haven't had enough time to think about it because we literally watched the movie last night.
Why don't you...
Less than 24 hours before.
Why don't you recommend Fatal Frame?
Maybe some other time.
Maybe some other time.
I really should replay that game.
Oh, yeah, it's really good. I actually, since we're on the subject of it, and not, I did play through the third one not too long ago.
That's
and
right.
At a time of listening, the fifth one just came out on Switch, Steam, PlayStation 4.
That reminds.
Am I able to get my hands on that?
What do you mean?
Like, is it available? Like, could I get it here in the U.S.?
I think it's digital only, but yes.
Okay, that's good.
I'm talking about 5, not 4. 4 was the one that
I know. That's why I
wanted
wanted to clarify if this one was actually available.
So to clarify, Fatal Frame 5 was one that was originally Wii U exclusive. It never had a physical release in the US, and they just recently re-released it on Switch, Steam, and PS4. It might be on Xbox. I'm not sure.
I just have one thing to say. Fatal Frame 5 is my favorite Fatal Frame.
Fatal Frame 5 is a weird one. But going back to what I was saying, I played through Fatal Frame 3 not too long ago, maybe a year or two ago.
It's a weird game.
Very weird game, but I think it might be better than 2.
Yeah, that reminds me. Didn't you call me like a year and a half ago while I was at work? And you're like, dude, I just finished Silent Hill 3. I think it's better. I can't remember if it was.
I've never even.
Or was
played
it
Silent Hill 3?
Fuck! I'm gonna recommend Silent Hill.
Okay.
Yeah. Or was it Fatal Frame 3?
And time's up. All right, that was the podcast. Everyone.
Or was it? Yeah. Was it Fatal Frame 3 that you called me in the middle of work?
I probably did.
Yeah, and you're like, dude, I just finished Fatal Frame 3. I think it's better than the first 2.
Yeah. I think it's okay. Here's my thing. I don't think it's better than the first 2. I think 1's the best one.
Right. Well, yeah.
2. A lot of people say 2 is the best one. If I had access to the Wii version of 2, I'd probably say that's the best one because that seems really interesting.
Yeah.
We never got that in the States. 3 is as good as 1 and 2. 3 often is considered a black sheep for no real good reason. Other than the fact that
are you recommending Clock Tower or Fatal Frame 3?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not recommending. I might, maybe. I don't know. You do your recommendation. Silent Hill.
Silent Hill. Just good psychological survival horror game. It managed to capitalize on a limitation of the hardware at the time and turn it into a staple of the series.
Yeah, too bad it fucking sucks now. That's just me.
Not the game, the series, right?
Well, what are you recommending? Are you recommending the series or the game?
The original game.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm talking about the original game. It is aged pretty badly.
You know what else is really good? The remake, Shattered Memories.
Yeah, I've heard
that gets so underrated simply because it's not a straight remake. They do so much different with the game, and I love it for it.
I wish streaming was a thing back when we first played that. That was such a good experience. Oh.
I want to do a video where I lead in, making it seem like I'm going to talk about the original Silent Hill, but then I'm talking about Silent Hill Shattered Memories.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you kind of need to play through the original Silent Hill in order to get the context for Shattered Memories.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a remake that requires...
That is a problem, I will admit, yeah.
Yeah, I like Silent Hill, I have no interest
So,
in playing
for
it.
context, the premise of the original Silent Hill is that a widowed novelist, Harry Mason, and his daughter, Cheryl, are heading to the resort town of Silent Hill when they encounter an accident on the road, and Harry wakes up sometime later. Cheryl is missing, and so Harry wanders into the now fog-enshrouded town of Silent Hill in search of her. And it just gets weirder from there. You've got monsters, like alternate reality, just weird people that Harry does come across when he does encounter people. It's very, very mindfucky.
Yeah. Won't argue with that.
It's pretty...
Incredibly atmospheric, too.
It's a psychological clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Perhaps the first psychological horror?
I don't think it would...
I'm just trying to think of any precursors.
I mean, in terms of games, maybe.
Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah, as far as games go, obviously not the first psychological horror.
Yeah, I was going to say the first psychological horror would have probably been Haunting of Hill House. Which is... yeah.
At least the first, big one.
Yes.
The first,
That one I highly recommend. The Haunting.
I mean...
63.
Silent Hill does have its fair share of creepy and scary monsters, but it's definitely more of the atmosphere of the town. How dark it gets in the other world, whereas I used to call it Silent Hell.
And when we're talking about Silent Hill, I mean, we have to bring up Pyramid Head, who doesn't show up in this game at all because he really should only be in Silent Hill 2, and that's that. The fact that he shows up in other Silent Hill games is a fucking travesty.
It's a big middle finger to Silent Hill 2.
Yep.
And Pyramid Head himself.
Yep, so we're just not going to talk about Pyramid Head at all.
In essence, what Silent Hill is about, this is from Silent Hill 2. In essence, what it's about is, there was a hole here once, now it's gone.
That is a good explanation of the differences between Silent Hill and Otherworld.
That's a good explanation for how you used to be on this podcast.
I know. Thank you. I'm here all evening.
No, you were here all evening.
And then we kicked you out.
You make one Donald Pleasance in a wheelchair joke, they bar you for life. Come on.
I mean, didn't you read the sign when you walked in the door? No Donald Pleasance in a wheelchair jokes?
Shit.
It's like the only rule we have on this podcast.
And you broke it.
You wrote it. You wrote that rule and you broke it.
Yeah.
But incredibly atmospheric game. Controls maybe not to everybody's liking, especially nowadays with because they're tank controls, but I definitely feel that the general atmosphere of the game and how creepy it can really be, it just plays with your head. I remember there's this one scene when you're exploring the school and you hear something that sounds like it's coming from a locker in the teacher's lounge. Mm-hmm. You open the locker and a cat jumps out. And then later when you're in Otherworld, same situation. You go to the locker and open it and there's nothing there. You turn around, something falls out of another locker.
Yeah.
It leads you to expect one thing, and then
it subverts a lot of expectations. Not that you would have a whole lot of expectations going into this, but just the fact that there are parallel worlds where things are similar but not even close. Mm-hmm. It's like, this kind of looks like the school I was in, except if it was like a Nine Inch Nails music video.
Yeah, that is a very good comparison. And it's not just a school. You also visit a hospital, other places that I can't recall offhand.
What was the name of the nurse in that game?
Judy Garland. No, not Judy.
Judy Garland.
Something Garland, I'm pretty sure.
I keep wanting to say Lisa, but I think that's more me jumping back to...
I think it's Lisa Garland.
Lisa Garland? Because I wanted to say Lisa Trevor, and I'm like, that's definitely not it.
Nope. No, I'm pretty sure it's Lisa Garland.
I think her whole arc stuck with me more than anything in that game.
Ooh. Yeah, that whole chestnut.
On the first game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you played the first one?
I have.
Okay.
Long ago.
You look like you're holding something back. Do you have something to say?
No, I'm just trying to remember what you guys were talking about.
Okay.
I zoned out for 2 seconds, so...
That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Zoning out, not even once.
Yeah, anything else you want to say? No?
I never got the UFO ending.
Same. I still am. Still don't know how to get the dog ending in the second game, and yeah.
Bark, 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 bark.
Hey!
Bark, bark, bark.
Copyright strike.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so I was playing the other month. I was playing the Silent Hill port onto the PC, right? And I was like, oh shit, you can actually move faster when you strafe.
Strafe running.
So I strafe ran for...
Which leads into my recommendation. Strafe running. Try it. It's kind of fun.
I'm dead.
But
You don't have any recommendations?
This is going to be a bit of an odd recommendation. If you're done talking about Silent Hill. Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm going to recommend... I wanted to say like The Witcher 3 because it's a really fucking fantastic game, and it often has like a bunch of like I often say it's the Skyrim killer, and like Skyrim's super popular and everybody's played it and yada yada yada. But I'm actually going to go with the Witcher on Netflix, the series. We started watching it recently, and it is absurdly good. I can't really say too much about it because we're only about 3 episodes in, but...
You're already hooked?
Yeah. I mean, I was already hooked because I played through Witcher 3, and it's like, yeah, this is cool. So I guess I would recommend both of those, just Witcher 3 and the Witcher Netflix series. Just The Witcher in general. Cool world. It stars Geralt of Rivia. Rivera, I always forget it. You're basically this monster hunter who's like a mutant, and so...
Oh, so it's Monster Hunter.
Yeah, it's Monster Hunter, starring Mila Jovovich. You nailed it. In theaters now.
No, it's not. It's on DVD.
It's in a theater somewhere, I'm sure. I'm positive it is in a theater somewhere.
Okay, third point. There are a lot of theaters out there. I can't discount that possibility.
I don't have a whole lot to say about Witcher, but if you've ever wanted to play an RPG, an action RPG that has like, you know, a bazillion side quests just like a Skyrim would, but actually has like really good writing throughout those side quests and actually is like you want to play the side quests, yeah, Witcher 3. Witcher 3 is really good. Top 10 game of all time. Like that good. It's in my top 10. Easily. What are we looking at? Oh, I don't care. What? Yeah, Resident Evil movie stuff. Cutting that out.
Yeah, go ahead, cut that part out. I give you permission.
Netflix stuff. It was the Netflix series, actually. But yeah.
Okay. So, do we want to jump into spoilers? I don't really have a whole lot to say about my recommendation, but...
Yeah.
Okay, where did we leave off?
We left off right when
Sophie got killed.
Right after Sophie got killed.
Oh no, I didn't know that happened.
Jennifer goes out to look for her, finds a firefly. The firefly directs her to a glove.
In a thorn bush.
Yeah, which is like, watching her reach her hand in is really like, you can see the thorns, and it's just like, oh god, oh no, don't, oh no, and she's fine.
But it is a bit of a tense moment. She's reaching her hand into a thorn bush to grab, she doesn't even know what, initially. Pulls out a glove. Next morning...
Or she goes back inside, and then she screams.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't find out why just yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird they don't explain it, but then they immediately explain it.
The next morning, once again, the headmistress is like, "Oh yeah, no, don't listen to her. She's crazy."
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes to Donald Pleasance, and that's where they sort of establish that Jennifer might be telepathic with insects.
They also reveal that the reason that she screamed was because she put the glove on her hand, took it off, her hand was covered in maggots.
Yeah, which normally wouldn't bug her, but she was able to see through, like, the eyes of the maggots, and they relayed to her what they had seen, which was Sophie's corpse, basically. Which is where that telepathy comes in.
Which is like a really interesting concept for this movie. That play.
This is part of the reason why I wanted to cut it off at this point. This point when we're talking, because once we get to this point, things go into the supernatural direction I was expecting Deep Red to go in.
Right.
The semi-supernatural.
No, I mean, telepathy is. I mean, that's pseudoscience. I would say that's supernatural.
Well, as
Or would fall under
as Donald Pleasance explains, though, he's like, yeah, insects are telepathic slightly. So I mean, it's not beyond.
There was also a scene earlier when she was visiting him where he let her interact with a bug, and it really liked her.
Okay, hold on. This is a super duper digression. We can cut it if you guys want to. But I read something recently where they discovered that ants count their steps because they took some ants and they gave them stilts. Like, they crafted ant stilts and hooked these ants up to the ant stilts. And when they got lost because they couldn't figure out where they were because their legs were longer.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Ant stilts. Okay.
But no, yeah. That's a
weird digression, but I was just suddenly reminded of it.
No,
cool.
we can keep that in. But ants are
That's an interesting thing.
No, ants are. I knew that because I played Sim Ant.
And so did I, but I didn't know they counted steps.
That's
going to be my recommendation. Let's go back. I recommend everyone play Sim Ant. It's really good. No.
Yeah,
I mean, it is, but
like.
Yeah. I mean, I liked playing it when I was a kid, but I don't know why.
There was a bee joke. There was a bee joke I heard once.
Is it Bee Movie? Is that the joke?
No.
The entirety of Bee Movie?
No, it was like, yeah, you know, the workers can fly, and even the males can fly, so the queen is kind of their slave. If that makes sense, you know?
I mean, yeah, that does make sense. It just seems like it. I don't know. That leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
That leaves a bad taste in your mouth?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's just like. Granted, I like the way that insectology works. It's even a word.
Yeah.
The way that bees work
physiology
is that the bees like compete to see who will mate with the queen. Yes. Is that ants? I don't remember.
Both, since they're both semi-related.
Seems more like a symbiotic relationship, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's just a joke.
It's just
anyway. Getting back to phenomena. Anyway, while Jennifer's visiting Donald Pleasance at this point in the movie, the insects all around his place are noticeably energetic and agitated, which he's never seen before.
And she's like, "What? This happens all the time. I don't understand."
Yeah. But he's like, yeah, you might be hiding something. That's why they're agitated, because you're upset.
They're upset because you're upset.
Yeah. And so she's like, all right, yeah, I mean, you might think I'm crazy, but a firefly showed me this glove. And now all the bugs start calming down, and Donald Pleasant's like, interesting. Yes, quite.
So at this point, he comes to the theorization that she has some sort of psychic connection with bugs. They are empathetic to her.
Which, you know, it's
also
it's a Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, it's also at this point that I think it's at this point where he takes the larvae and he's like,
yes.
oh yeah, this is a great sarcophagus.
He does that later. He's like, hey, I'm gonna examine this
and let you know what it is.
Right, but I'm just trying to remember what happens in between because I know it's a different scene, but like,
I know
what the heck happens in between those two scenes.
She goes back. And then she starts getting bullied again.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. That's what happens.
The scene where she basically kicks herself out of school.
It's the scene where everybody fucking dogpiles on her for zero reason.
Right, they like find her diary or a note that she was writing to her dad. She's
which is
like, oh yeah, like I can talk to insects apparently now.
Which is super fucking illegal.
They just straight up rifled through her private property start nitpicking at every little thing she was trying to keep hidden from everybody.
I'm no expert on privacy laws in Sweden, but yeah, it could be.
Switzerland.
Oh, I made the mistake that I told myself I wasn't going to make.
You made the mistake I made while we were watching the movie.
And it's because you made that mistake that I had to constantly remind myself that I'm sleepwalking and I must stay awake.
Yeah. So they fucking dogpile on her.
They just start bullying her to high hell, and she finally starts tapping into her psychic connection with bugs.
And it was at this point in the movie that I said, hey, has anybody ever seen Carrie before?
Yeah.
Because flies just start swarming all over the windows.
All over the fucking school. It is a massive horde of flies.
It's not very good special effects for the swarm. I'm not gonna lie.
It does the job. It conveys what it's trying to do.
It conveys what's happening. It's just totally fake.
I would say that at that moment Jennifer became the Lord of the Flies.
Oh God! Don't even, because they reference that later.
Beelzebub Bumblebee.
Yeah.
Anyway, after that
I was actually referencing the book.
Yeah, but that's based on Beelzebub.
Yeah.
But anyway, at the climax of this, she collapses and wakes up in a bed with an IV in her, and she overhears the headmistress basically telling this nurse to keep an eye on her and let her know when she wakes up. Jennifer keeps concealed that she's awake.
She's been awake this whole time.
She knows, okay, they're going to have me committed for this.
Yeah, just just like that. Not even consult her parents or anything. Just that's how fucking morally bankrupt this woman was. That she was willing to fucking have this young child sent away to a mental institution. Not even fucking tell the parents. Mm-hmm. It's not our problem anymore. Not my problem.
And she's
missing. We don't know where she went.
And she even compares her to Beelzebub because she's able to psychically control insects. She just calls her diabolical. Simply because she was reacting to being bullied.
And funny,
apparently wanting to not be bullied is evil.
No, it's even funnier because Jennifer reacts to it as she's feigning sleep.
Yeah.
It's like she's just like
what the fuck?
What the fuck? And I think the headmistress sees it and she's like, oh fuck, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I'm getting the hell out of Dodge. You know what's
Do it.
No, we can't talk about it. Spoilers.
Okay.
We're in the spoiler zone though.
Oh, we are. That's right. Okay, so given how the rest of the movie goes, it's the headmistress isn't really all that bad though. Comparatively speaking, she's not even she's just basically a non-issue in this movie.
She's a tertiary antagonist.
Yes.
But Jennifer kind of
It would have been hilarious. It would have been hilarious if she was the main antagonist. Though it was come on, it was plain as day.
But anyway, after the headmistress leaves and the nurse sits down to do some knitting while watching over Jennifer,
she just fucking falls asleep.
She falls asleep, and Jennifer quietly removes her IV in a scene that's.
And by quietly, we mean it as loud as possible.
No. She's trying to not.
It's like a Mr. Bean set. We need you to be as quiet as possible. Makes as much fucking noise.
But we're gonna mic the.
Admittedly,
like
it
crazy.
sounds louder because it's building tension.
Yeah, yeah.
And Jennifer does manage to get
Escape.
out of.
She fucking escapes.
I mean, the cuckoo clock goes off. But
I feel like
it's
it's
quiet.
I feel like it's that scene in The Emperor's New Groove. When they're trying not to wake up the wolves or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're just making all this noise, and then you get to the part where the squirrel pops the balloon, and he's like, "Ha!" and they all wake up. But in this case, nobody wakes up.
No. Cuckoo, cuckoo. There's a clock that
Jennifer
goes off and everything.
Manages to get out of there and seeks comfort in Donald Pleasance's embrace. Not really.
Yeah.
Why you gotta word it like that? My God, dude.
To make it sound as awkward as possible.
It's not awkward. It's very familial. It seems like a natural.
Yeah, she goes to Donald's place to stay because she's found a friend she can rely on who won't get her immediately institutionalized for being different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then he's like, oh yeah, so I figured out what it is, what your larvae was, what your maggot was. It's a great sarcophagus fly.
And what's a great sarcophagus fly?
Eats cadavers.
Oh, and
exclusively.
What's so special about the great sarcophagus?
It can smell for miles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And this leads Jennifer on a wild goose chase to the Alps.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call it a wild goose chase. I mean, she doesn't find anything.
No.
But it is plot relevant.
Donald basically convinces Jennifer to go to where they think the first victim was murdered, and basically use her telepathic connection with the fly to try and find out whereabouts that body disappeared to.
Right, because they know that the girl from the beginning, she was last seen on one of these tourist buses.
Yes.
And so
They have a general idea of where she might be.
It's somewhere on the route.
Yep. So they're like, why don't you take this fly and we'll put it in a box, and when it starts going crazy, you'll know that you're close to dead bodies. Because we've already determined that the killer likes to hang on to the dead bodies because they keep having all this larvae.
Now, at one point while on the bus ride, Jennifer just opens her window all the way, and the woman next to her gets pissed off about it.
God, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Because the lady is very apoplectic about it. And then
It's like, you shut that window! No!
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 Like a
Then the lady just gets up and moves.
And then once Jennifer gets off the bus,
Yeah,
she
see the
fucking
lady
comes back and closes it.
You know why she opened the window, right, though?
Yeah. So
So that the fly would have a better chance
Exactly.
of picking up the scent.
Right.
yeah, I caught that immediately. But yeah, the fly goes crazy around the beginning of the movie.
Yep, this area that the bus had stopped.
It's also, at some point, I started to notice that the bus was actually being tailed by a
Yes,
car.
it was also being followed.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept thinking, oh, the killer's tracking her.
And and here's, it turns out it's not the killer, but there's another character on the bus that I think...
It also seemed like there was a character on the bus.
Yeah, it seemed like there was somebody tailing the bus, and somebody was on the bus,
Yes.
keeping an eye on Jennifer.
Yes. But, the person tailing the bus, it's a spoiler, but...
Why, we're in the spoiler section.
We're in the spoilers. It's Inspector Geiger. And I think, and this is my headcanon, that John called him and was like, hey, I've got somebody on a bus who's gonna, be investigating. I want you to follow her and see what's up.
That?
Yeah, that makes sense. Initially, though, when we get revealed that the one who's been kind of tailing her has been Geiger, I initially thought that was the reveal that he was the culprit.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
There's one problem with that theory, though, is that if Dr. Loomis already has a plan to try and figure out where the bodies are being stored, why wouldn't he just have the inspector go with Jennifer?
I think I definitely recall that he told Jennifer to once she finds a place to immediately come back. And she kind of breaks that by actually going into the place.
Right, but I mean, if the inspector was there to keep an eye on her, he sure didn't seem to be keeping an eye on her. You know what I mean?
I think the idea is that
I think he was just there on his own investigation, and it just happened to coincide with
maybe, but the
or maybe he was there to kind of keep an eye on her so that she didn't
get murdered.
Yeah.
He was there as a sort of a scout.
I don't buy it. I think they were. It
easily can be explained away as this. It would be too conspicuous. You have a cop next to a child, it'd be way too fucking...
I guess if Donald Pleasance's character had an inkling that maybe she was being stalked, that might make sense.
Yes.
I mean, after all, the only reason why Sophie was murdered was because she was wearing Jennifer's shirt. So the killer assumed that it was Jennifer.
Right.
So... Jennifer is still a target.
But yes, there's another character on the bus, and I have a very good idea of who it is.
I think we all do. We'll get there, though.
And you know what? I never noticed it on the first watch-through. I never noticed that character. So seeing it again, I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and what we're talking about is somebody who's, like, dressed up in, like, a trench coat with, like, one of those...
They look
like
suspicious.
They look like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle trying to fit in broad day New York.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the neighborhood watch guy.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good.
But so the fly goes crazy and Jennifer goes to this abandoned house, and she just sort of does her own investigation, and then she's caught by this guy, by the agent of the place, who just
we don't know it's the agent quite yet.
Yeah,
you just think it's some guy who's like
you
think it's the guy who's been following her.
Yes.
Or the killer.
Mm-hmm.
Or both.
Or both. And the guy's just like, what the fuck are you doing here? What the fuck? No, get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she fucking bolts. Like there's a funny cutscene.
What happens is she finds her way into like a closet, and on like the top shelf are these rolled up papers. And so she gets a stool to try and get to them.
Yeah, let's not forget that at this point she's set the fly loose,
yes.
and she's been following it. It's been leading her.
It led her into this closet,
and
in her attempts to try and pull these pieces of paper down, she ends up accidentally breaking a floorboard and knocking down the top shelf, which is how the guy catches her. Because she's making such a racket.
But not before accidentally putting a hole in the floor.
Like I said, broke the floorboard.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so and my assumption is the guy had been there and she sort of wandered in without him noticing.
Right.
Because she entered from the back and he was up in the front.
Yeah. That seems right.
And so once she gets caught, she flees. But
she fucking books it so fast.
But it lingers on the fly.
Well, no, it's funny because there's the scene and the guy's just like whatever, and he comes out the door and she's already halfway up the hill. Like she fucking went speed.
This is anime speed right here.
Yeah.
This could have been a scene in anime.
I had to laugh because I was like, that's an unfortunate scene cut.
Yeah.
But then it cuts back to the fly, who is now crawling down under the floorboard, the now broken floorboard.
What? Can we talk about the shot that's like immediately preceding this? Yeah. Because it's a technically really good shot that probably you wouldn't really like.
Oh, it's through the house?
Yeah, where the camera kind of goes through the house and leads us back to the closet.
Yeah, it's a very nice shot. As usual...
It's a very Argento shot, that's for sure.
As usual, Dario Argento is very good with cinematography and how he wants films shot. But, it goes...
Which is surprisingly absent from most of this film. I think that's like the only standout scene that I can think of where... Because there's a lot of quick, hard cuts, whereas in like something like Deep Red, there's a lot of lingering shots. And
right.
Maybe that's why it felt so different from the other two movies I've seen.
Could it be just the cinematography was reined in a bit.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so yeah, she flees, goes under the floorboards, and the fly finds the hand, a missing hand.
Yeah, there's a severed hand under the floorboards, and it looks relatively fresh. It's still got skin on it. It's not like completely decayed.
Not completely desiccated.
You can tell it's been being.
But it's the indicator that Jennifer was clearly right on top of a hiding spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But after Jennifer flees, Geiger reveals himself and asks the guy who caught Jennifer if he was the guy who lived here. He said, "No, I'm just kind of watching over the property, trying to sell it."
And he's like, nobody's lived here for eight months.
Could you tell me who was living here? It's like, I really shouldn't. I'm with the police.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's when the plot, finally, because at this point the plot, it's going this way and that way, but that's when everything converges, and we're like, all right, we're getting there. All right, shit's getting found out now.
Yeah, this is where the movie really should have maybe not started, but it should have gotten to this point in the movie a lot quicker.
Probably.
I think.
Anyway, while Jennifer is making her way back to John's place, Inga gets lured out of the house and locked out, and John winds up getting killed by the murderer.
Yup.
Yeah, and
it's Motorhead.
It's so fucking
Not yet.
It's so fucking heartbreaking too.
I know,
because that monkey is
that was an incredibly well trained chimp. Trying to break through that door, pulling slats off of the door to try and break in to save her.
Yeah, trying to break into the window.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets there just too late.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so she's
heartbreaking.
And she's like, wake up. Oh, you're dead. No!
Yeah, there's more emotion on this chimp than there is on anybody else in the movie, to be honest.
You're not entirely wrong.
Yeah, but Jennifer gets back just in the aftermath, and that's when Motorhead's playing.
And that's when Motorhead starts playing.
And they're wheeling
the corpse of Donald Pleasance out.
And they don't have...
And Motorhead is playing.
It's just like...
And not like a ballad or anything. I don't even know if Motorhead has any ballads, but think like the most Motorhead song you can think of.
You got...
It'd be like if Ace of Spades was leading a funeral procession.
Yeah!
It's like they got the press there.
Which is Ace of Spades would be very apt for a funeral. Especially...
It would, I take it back.
Especially for the line, I don't want to live forever.
Oh...
But yeah,
it does not fit the scene at all.
But when Jennifer sees this, she fucking runs off because she knows what's gonna happen next. Because people will start to link her to that house because she had just started living there.
And plus, the only other place she had left to go that she felt safe
got broken.
Oh, right.
Got broken
This
into.
was the only place she felt safe.
So yeah,
and let's not forget that, if the killer knew that this guy was involved,
yeah.
Shit.
Because I don't think she had made the connection that the only reason Sophie got killed was because of mistaken identity.
Yes.
Yeah, I think she initially just assumed that Sophie was a blind killer.
This
blind
is
victim.
This is the point where she's like, "All right, I need to get out of the country ASAP."
Now we get a nice scene of Inga just kind of wandering into a park and digging through a trash can to get a drink of, I'm going to assume, orange juice, what's left of it.
And she finds a shaving knife.
Whoops.
A straight razor.
Straight razor. That thing looks fucking gnarly.
Yeah, it looks like a regular straight razor to me.
That thing looks fucking gnarly, dude.
Looks like
especially when you got a chimp holding onto it.
Yeah. It's almost as bad as a monkey with a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's scary.
But then it cuts to the next day, and Jennifer...
But Inspector Geiger is actually in an insane asylum, and he's talking with a couple of...
With one of the orderlies.
Mm-hmm.
And the orderly tells him that nobody has managed to escape from the asylum, and Geiger is actually there to try and figure out somebody who did it from reverse.
Instead of breaking out, breaking in.
Right, which is
a weird way of phrasing what actually ends up happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't work in hindsight.
Yeah.
He's basically saying, has anybody been here when they're not supposed to be?
Yeah. And even then, that doesn't really work that well.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But he's working from.
Right. I guess he's trying to figure out. I don't know what he's trying to.
He's trying to piece things together.
Yeah.
Right. He's just doing it in a really weird way that you only think is weird when you actually think about it in hindsight.
Yeah. It makes sense when you're watching the movie.
Yeah, they come upon one of the insane asylum members.
In they even compare the lowering levels of the asylum to the gates of hell.
Yeah, the
For
further
the rings
down,
of hell.
The further down you go, the worse it is.
Which is just an absolutely accurate portrayal of mental health at the time.
And my intuition, my headcanon tells me that they came upon the guy who did the thing. That's explained later.
We'll explain that later.
Yep.
But the next day, Jennifer calls up Morris and actually manages to get in contact with him. Basically tells him, I need to get the fuck out of here. Somebody's trying to murder me. And Morris, over the phone, she has to clarify that, yes, she means murder. She thinks somebody is trying to murder her now.
Mm-hmm. And so she tells him to
wire her some money so that she can get out. Unfortunately, when she checks at the bank, he tells her to go to... Nothing's been transferred to her yet. So she kind of sits around the bank and waits.
This was this was the 80s, so it would take a while. If this movie came out today, that shit'd be instant.
Yep.
She'd be like, put it on my fucking phone. Give me the money, put it on my phone.
Just Venmo me it.
Just Venmo me it. So she's stuck fucking waiting. She's stuck waiting a while.
Yeah.
And then Daria Nicolodi's character shows up to pick her up and informs her that Morris sent her to pick her up. And that she's going to get a plane ticket out of there.
The fucking snitch.
Now, can we stop for a second? What exactly is Daria Nicolodi's character? What is
she's the assistant headmistress.
Okay, I didn't quite catch that when we were watching the movie. I just figured she was somebody important from the school.
I kind of figured she had. I kind of figured she had a connection to the school, but it was kind of weird considering how she seemed to be somewhat familiar with Morris and all that. So it was a bit confusing to me.
She shows up in a bunch of scenes, and it's just she's more of a background character in all of them.
Yeah.
But she lets Jennifer know that they'll get the plane ticket and get her out of there, but for the time she has to spend the night somewhere because they can't leave now.
Would you like to see a movie?
I'm confused. What?
Never mind.
Rejected.
I was just over my head.
Seriously, you don't remember that? That cartoon? Rejected?
Oh.
Would you like to see a movie?
I am feeling fat and sassy.
Okay.
The other one I was going to go for...
I was still confused.
I don't remember what the response was.
The other one I was going to go for...
I am the Queen of France.
No, the other one I was going to go for was the Monty Python bit. He was like, alright, but only if you'd go camping with me for the weekend. He asked me! The guy trying to get the nasal surgery and shit. Fucking Monty Python, watch it.
Okay, that's my
recommendation. But anyway, Jennifer is adamant about not returning to the school, so Daria Nicolodi agrees to let her stay at her place until the next day when she gets a flight out. This turns out to be the worst decision Jennifer makes in the entire movie.
Yeah, can we just say? Can we
For
just?
good reason.
Can we just say it?
Let's just come out and say it now.
This is the climax.
We're pretty sure that this is the climax of the film. This is where it all starts to just
So Daria's character, she tells Jennifer that she thinks she's feverish, tells her to take a pill or two as like a sedative to help her calm down. But she also mentions that all the mirrors around her place are covered up because her son is disfigured and he doesn't like seeing his own reflection, and she admits to going a little driving her a bit mad, and Jennifer goes into the bathroom to try and get some privacy for once because Daria is kind of
they have such a pissing contest over the bathroom. Oh,
they do.
You need to take the pill. I don't want to take the pill. You need to take the pill. I don't want to take the pill. Go take the pill. Fine, I'll take the pill.
It gets so intense that the movie can't even keep up with them because they start arguing in Italian.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just the version of the movie we were watching. Cause
I think so.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff got cut, and I think that's all the uncut stuff.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a similar case to what happened with Deep Red.
Oh yeah, like I guess I could see it as being like a restored version of the film that didn't have the original English audio.
Yeah,
that would make a lot of sense.
But ultimately, Jennifer does agree to take the pill. She goes into the bathroom, locks the door behind her because she doesn't want. She wants some privacy now that this person is becoming incredibly overbearing.
And then the second stupidest decision of her night, she actually takes the pill.
She takes one pill. She's given a pair of them.
Yep.
She takes one.
Well, she was
pill.
only told to take one, but take two if you feel like
And then she goes to wash her hands, reaches over to the bar of soap, and maggots. There are maggots all over the soap,
and not just any maggot. Well, they're not even maggots and larvae. They're different things. Different things. The movie goes out of its way to clarify that.
Well, I'm a lay person.
Okay, so yeah. Larvae. And not just any larvae.
The specific type of larvae that she had encountered before.
Great sarcophagus larvae.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even just on the bar of soap. It's also on the towel she tries to dry her hands off it.
They're everywhere.
And this
is where it kind of dawns on her. Hey, maybe this is the killer.
So she does her best to induce vomiting to throw up the pill she's just swallowed.
I will also say, I'm fairly certain that this scene, and I'm going to invoke its name again. This is the scene where Jennifer puts her hands in the sink and out comes maggots. That's where that comes from in Clock Tower.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
Yeah,
that's not what happens in this scene.
No, that's not what happens.
Definitely like an inspiration.
I'm not gonna lie. I was partially convinced that she had accidentally ingested maggots, and that's why she was having such a reaction.
No.
But upon rethinking about it, the fact that she saw the maggots there was just kind of made her realize, oh shit, gotta purge.
Yep. So she starts throwing up the pill.
Meanwhile, Daria Nicolodi's bearing down on the door.
What's going on in there? Come on, what's going on in there? What, can a guy get some privacy? Jontron.
Fuck Jontron. I'll show you the clip.
No, I know what he's talking about. I just wasn't expecting it. Oh no. Okay.
But
can a guy get some privacy?
But Jennifer does end up throwing up the pill and does does open the door again.
That reminds me of Young Frankenstein.
I don't even know.
Here, where Igor's character, he's like, that reminds me of something my dad used to tell me. Oh, get out of the bathroom! What the hell are you doing in there day and night? Give somebody else a chance.
Jennifer does eventually unlock the door and makes her way past Daria, who notices the pill that's been thrown up, and they get into an argument. Jennifer tries to call somebody with the phone in this, I don't know, conservatory? Lobby?
It's like an
parlor
or something. Yeah, parlor, probably.
Long story short, she gets knocked the fuck out.
Oh, God, yeah.
it's,
Knocked out.
it's like in the funniest manner possible. She's got a towel wrapped around Jennifer's neck, got a block, plunk. Just...
Yeah. She takes the phone, tosses it, disconnects it, and tosses it into the next room.
Doesn't even toss it. She actually goes in there, puts it down on a table, plugs it back in, and then... why would you plug it back in?
Because otherwise the climax doesn't make any more sense than it does.
Yeah, and the reason she knocks out Jennifer is because Inspector Geiger shows up. Like,
well, I just think it's funny that she plugged it in.
She also
Jennifer could have easily plugged it in too, and it still would have made sense.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But when she notices that Geiger's there, Daria activates the iron barriers for the window.
Fucking security system in her house that just drops the
fucking
it's
immaculate.
Like a prison.
She activates the barriers, knocks Jennifer out, leaves the room and locks it from the outside to go talk to Geiger.
It's fucking immaculate. And then Iron Maiden starts playing.
At least this time it's appropriate.
Right? Oh. Because, Geiger shows up and he's like, yeah, so I heard you were raped and you where were you last 8 months ago? Where did you live last time?
So, the explanation
she
is that...
She, invites him in the house for coffee or something.
The explanation...
Then it cuts to the scene with Jennifer and...
Yeah.
Basically, the explanation is that Daria's character was raped by one of the inmates at the asylum.
Presumably the one that they highlighted.
Right. And... we'll get into what happened after that soon enough. Because eventually...
Well, I mean, at this point, it's heavily implied that, her kid is, the one...
It's Freddy Krueger, basically.
Yeah.
Just with one maniac instead of 1,000.
Yeah. So, now we're chilling out to Iron Maiden. Chilling out to Iron Maiden. Oh, boy. Iron Maiden is...
Jennifer wakes up. She finds all the windows have been barriered.
Inspector Geiger off screen is fucking screaming bloody murder.
Yeah. Jennifer, she tries to bust down the door leading to the room that has the phone in it.
And of course, there just happens to be an opening at the top of the door that she can reach in, and she grab. Did we ever figure out what she grabbed?
I don't know. She grabbed something that had a hooked protrusion.
Yeah, she grabbed a pole.
She grabbed some sort of as you put it, a fire stoker,
a fire poker,
but it was extendable and it had a rubber end to it.
Yeah.
I don't know what this
rubber
item
plastic.
It's basically a long item
it's something that seems like it only exists for the purpose of this one scene.
Yes.
And she uses it to try and get her hands on the phone.
It's a stick. She grabbed a stick.
Long story short, she accidentally ends up knocking the phone into a nearby gaping hole. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, fuck it, jumps up and crawls through the opening she did and climbs down into this hole to get to the phone.
And I think her reasoning was, well, if I jump in the room, I won't have any way of getting out. But, you already don't have a way of getting out. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure her reasoning is, I'm going to call somebody to come get some help and try and free me. I know this psycho bitch is doing psycho bitch shit. Somebody needs to come. I don't even care anymore.
And then we get...
And this is where the movie really picks up.
So she climbs down into the hole, gets to the phone, which immediately starts ringing because Morris is trying to call the place.
Well, it's also, yes, we cut to a scene with Morris, and he's arrived at the airport or whatever, and he's like, okay, I gotta go get Jennifer.
So it's not just a case that Daria decided to kidnap Jennifer. She was supposed to be there. She was supposed to bring her to her place for the night.
Right, so it's not like she was even lying about that.
Yeah.
Morris did call her and like directly put Jennifer in harm's way.
Unknowingly, mind you.
But yeah, so she starts to...
The phone starts ringing. Jennifer immediately hangs it back up because it just alerted whoever could hear it that she was down in the hole. Mm-hmm. She hangs up, tries to start calling, and suddenly she's grabbed through a wall.
Before we get too far into this, I just want to point out that she started reeling the phone out before she jumped into the hole, and this is when Daria Nicolodi's character showed up again, and so she's like, okay, I got to jump in the hole in order to evade her. Yeah, that's the whole reason she's in the hole.
But yeah, we next get to just
and this is where the movie just chef kiss.
This was the climax of the movie that I was certainly not prepared for, because it goes gets ranked up to shit fuck 11.
All right, let's do the blow by blow. She's pulled into another room by none other than
Inspector Geiger,
who is chained to the wall.
Who is chained to the wall by his hands, and he's trying to fucking calm her down. He's like,
it's like, Jennifer, it's Geiger. I'm safe. I'm here. I came here because...
safe is the operative word there.
Safe-ish!
He's just like,
I don't intend to hurt you! I'm the safest thing in this room right now!
But yeah, but she's so spooked by it, you know.
And let's remember that she's probably never even met this guy.
No.
There's at no point in the movie has she ever met this guy.
No.
At least it might be implied that they may have known each other since they were in talks with like the police over the murders, but as far as the movie has shown, they've never met.
Yep. And so she pushes him off of her
and stumbles back into a slurry pit full of corpses and maggots.
Yeah, slurry pit.
And this is what I meant earlier in the podcast when I said they really put Jennifer through the fucking ringer.
I fucking know.
I could not imagine how she must have felt having to go in there.
And so now we have our main character in just a pit of just
decomposition.
Yes.
Of just things that are decomposing and processing.
We're not talking about this is it's like water. It's like sewage water, but like instead of sewage, it's corpses.
It's corpse water.
It's corpse soup. It's corpse soup.
It's corpse soup.
It's not just like it's water and it has corpses. It's like festating and thick.
Yeah, and there's maggots everywhere.
If you want to gross somebody out, you show them this scene and with no context whatsoever.
Oh God!
Yeah. And then who shows up? None other than Daria Nicolodi. Did we ever figure out what the name of this character?
I don't even care.
It doesn't matter. It's Daria Nicolodi.
Seriously,
there are no fictional characters in this movie.
And I think it was just a little, when she started to reveal that maybe she was the actual culprit, it finally fulfilled a prophecy that I had ordained towards the beginning of Deep Red. Because I initially thought she was going to be the killer in that movie. Turns out she was the killer in this one!
You're not wrong. Which is funny because,
and she's not even the killer.
Is she? I mean, at this point, we're to assume that much.
We assume spoiler alert, she's not the killer.
So, I'm not sure what the sequence of events leading up to this.
Give me 2 seconds, okay?
Well, Jennifer gets out of the soup.
She doesn't.
LaGrosse has grabbed Daria.
Geiger breaks his own hand.
Frau Bruckner. That's her name.
Geiger breaks his own hand to get out of the handcuffs.
Yeah, Frau Bruckner. Yeah, so what he does, he doesn't just break his hands. What he does is he takes one of the chains, the ring chains, and he fucking bashes his thumb in to the point where it's badly dislocated and just near almost to the sinew.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And he does it to slide off his thing. This guy has no fucking chill. He's just I'm gonna save this woman.
So he breaks his own hand in order to gain the reach he needs to grab Daria Nicolodi and just start beating on her while Jennifer manages to escape from the slurry.
He beats the fuck out of it. All right. The disclaimer: we do not condone violence against women, but
However, in this case,
she fucking deserved it.
And Jennifer manages to get out. She starts to flee through the underground hallways. She comes across a room where she can hear crying coming from.
A kid, and she spots a kid, and it's like, oh, okay.
Then we're reminded, oh right, Daria's character mentioned having a son. And it's at this point, we are also reminded that she also mentioned how he was disfigured. Because he turns around, and that's not a face that a kid should have.
Look,
at all.
This has got to be the inspiration for Bobby Barrows.
Yes.
Oh,
God, yes, it is.
This is Bobby Barrows.
It is.
Straight up, without the scissors, it's Bobby Barrows.
Every time I see the face, I'm like, hey, Bobby.
Hey, Bobby. Hey, Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
And it turns out, no, he was the killer. Because he starts chasing her with the spear that we've been seeing throughout all the movie.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
So it's like, was Daria Nicolodi's character?
I was under the assumption that she had been driven insane by having to put up with her kid's face, and she did commit the murders.
I think it's more that she's been driven insane by the fact that she's had to cover up all of the murders.
It could be either way. I hadn't even considered
there's
that
no
possibility.
explanation.
And here's where I can get into my headcanon here, because she's been manipulating things behind the scenes at the school.
Mm-hmm.
She's basically been in the ear of the headmistress and being like, no, she's not fucking normal. She likes insects. It's fucking, watch out for her. She's crazy. And I think that's why the headmistress is so dismissive of Jennifer right away, and very
bitchy.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Although
I don't know.
Although we could have done more with foreshadowing that. That's just a headcanon.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway,
And I think remember in the beginning of the movie they're like, oh yeah, there's an old building, never go there. I think that's where she's been hiding her kid.
I don't remember this.
Because there's an abandoned part of the school.
Uh-huh.
And so Frau Bruckner, Daria Nicolodi's character, she's like, never go there. Don't go there.
I do not recall this.
I straight up do not remember this.
It's in the scene with the limo.
Oh, so we were distracted by the bee.
Yeah.
We were more focused on, actual character development.
I feel like that might be more of a red herring than anything.
Maybe. But I mean, one of the girls is killed in that building.
Fair enough. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's where the other...
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where the second...
I just assumed that she had been sleepwalking for so long that she ended up like...
Yeah,
a mile away or something.
I honestly initially thought that it was just her having a dream sequence and just kind of her psychically seeing that, but...
Nope.
Yeah, no. By the end of the scene, I realized that was not...
But yeah,
Let's keep this roller coaster moving.
So anyway, finds the kid. Kid starts chasing her as she flees. She manages to make it outside and gets on a boat and tries to start it up. And then the kid shows up, and they have to somehow float out into the middle of the lake.
Well, because she started the boat, and then as it was taking off, the kid jumped on the boat.
Yeah.
So they were already cruising along.
She Jason Voorhees from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Her.
Yeah.
And tries stabbing her with the fucking spear. Ends up puncturing the gas tank.
Mm-hmm. And Jennifer gives out the most fucking blood-curdling scream I've ever heard, and I swear that's audio sampled for Clock Tower.
Maybe.
And then she calls upon her powers of MacGuffin to summon the swarm of flies to attack the little kid.
And this kid gets fucking devoured.
Oh shit!
He gets eaten alive by these flies. Not even they're cutting him. They're like he is losing chunks of flesh.
Yep.
He's ripping it off, and he's.
Oh god, yeah.
You know the scene from Cabin Fever?
Yep.
Nope.
Which scene? All of them?
The one where the lady is...
where she's shaving?
Where she's shaving and flesh starts coming... Yeah, it reminds me of that.
Yep.
That's what that reminds me of.
I don't know why she didn't just stop. That's just weird. I have lots of problems with that movie.
Yeah, that movie is so dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay.
Swarm of flies attacking this kid.
Devouring this kid, and the kid falls into the water to escape the flies. He fucking just drops.
Jennifer tries to start up the engine to get the hell out of there.
And it explodes.
It explodes.
Starts on fire. And she has got to swim away. But she is accosted
by this even further disfigured kid who is not dead.
Not just angrily grabbed. Accosted is the word I use. Accosted by
You
this.
will not get away from me, lady I've never met before. I will try to murder you.
Person who's seen my murders.
Yes.
And yeah, it's fucking crazy, and because the kid's missing like his face.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, even further disfigured.
Yeah.
But somehow Jennifer manages to escape, and the boy dies in the fiery water.
I should add a disclaimer. There's nothing wrong with being metaphysically disfigured.
No,
and that's like another weird thing that this movie has. Is like, oh, this character's evil because he's disfigured. No.
He just happened. No.
That's probably why I immediately assumed that it was Dario who's the killer.
I think it's funny that you have to point out that there's nothing wrong with being disfigured.
No.
Like that should be like a super duper obvious thing.
Right.
So
but in the context of this movie...
Right, I guess, yeah, in the context of the movie, you kind of do have to point it out.
It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with being disfigured. It just so happens this disfigured character is evil.
Yeah. Lots of problems.
It's a stereotypical disfigured person in a horror movie.
God, this movie's a lot more problematic than I remember.
And that's why we had to cancel you.
Yeah,
damn.
It's just the fact that you said this was your favorite movie we had to
Yeah,
shut it down.
I guess so.
Shut it down.
But yeah,
What's your second favorite? A Birth of a Nation?
Oh, God.
Second favorite. Probably Dawn of the Dead, 78.
It was hypothetical.
I know, but
I was trying to joke.
I know he was joking, but come on, Birth of a Nation? Who am I, Woodrow Wilson?
I don't know who you are.
I don't know who you are anymore.
I don't associate with you.
That's good. That's another family member I don't associate with then.
That just reminded me of a joke I saw. You know the guy who does Cash Cab, right?
Barry got canceled.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, anyway, he was doing a comedy stand-up where he and a friend were at a restaurant, and there was this...
Oh, wait, the Cash Cab's the one where they're like, they get in the cab and it's like, oh,
Yes.
you're surprised, you're on a trivia show.
Yes.
Okay.
But anyway, he was doing a comedy stand-up, and there was a bit where he was talking about how he was at a restaurant with a friend of his, and then, like, this couple came in, and they were arguing, and at one point the lady ran off, and so he just kind of, spur of the moment, decided to follow after her, and he was like, what was that all about? And she was like, I don't even know you anymore. Because she thought it was her book.
Right.
So he smacked her.
Okay. Yeah.
So I punched her.
No!
What, you've never seen Airplane?
We don't call it that. Yeah, Jennifer escapes, and this kid gets caught up in the
Conflagration.
in the great
Ooh, big word.
the big conflagration of flames around the
You haven't
boat.
been around me very much, have you?
Yeah, I said somnambulous at the beginning of the show. We're good.
So Jennifer makes it back to shore. The kid is dead.
And
everything's safe.
And Morris finally shows up.
Oh.
What a great finale.
And then Doria decapitates him because she's still alive.
The way it's set up is so fucking good.
Like, it's just like, okay, this is the end of the movie. We're gonna roll.
Decapitation!
Oh no! Oh my god! The first time VeeJay and I watched it, because we watched it for the first time together.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second time watching it. We're just like, oh no!
And the thing is, on the lead up to him arriving, we actually see him in the car. He even puts his hand on a gun in the seat next to him. Mm-hmm. And he just gets straight up decapitated without even realizing it.
He's in the movie for like 5 minutes!
Not even.
Poor Morris. Such an important character just gets fucking decapitated right away.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and then Then Daria's character starts slaying into Jennifer, putting the whatever the fuck it was she used to decapitate
It's like a
Lawrence,
piece of sheet metal.
Yeah.
pressing it against her throat, threatening to kill her. And then Inga kills her with a straight razor.
Oh.
Yes, Inga the monkey finally shows up after like a half an hour.
And it's at that point you remember, right?
There was a monkey in this movie.
No, monkey!
They had a razor blade. Chekhov's gun finally shot.
It was
So now Daria's character is finally properly dead. And we get to the climax as Inga and Jennifer embrace.
Say what you will about Dario Argento. He knows how to make a fucking finale.
Our description of this finale does not do it anywhere near justice.
No.
Even if like you don't watch the movie, see if you can find like the final 20 or so minutes. Oh.
I was not prepared for this climax.
As it was going, it was like, there it is. Here it comes.
Here it comes.
Here it comes. Oh.
And here's the thing. You said earlier that there wasn't a whole lot of foreshadowing. I feel that this climax has a ton of foreshadowing that you just kind of forget about.
Right. You're right. I mean, with Inga and the razor blade.
Right, with Inga.
Or even with the kid. Mm-hmm. And the maggots.
But it all happens in such a concentrated space that it really doesn't feel like it's paying off of foreshadowing.
Yeah,
at least not at first.
The foreshadowing is like you set up something in like the first or second scene of the movie and then it pays off at the end. This is more like, I guess we'll just go with this towards the end. Yep. And that's Phenomena.
Now, I still think that everything that happens makes sense.
Oh, it does.
By the way, I just want you to know, it's officially beaten our Star Trek 2 time.
Oh, nice.
Well, we'll see how that goes with the harsh editor we've got here today.
Yes. We're making all the cuts.
Usually we don't cut anything out.
Yeah, but you know what? The best
Recording
podcasts
conditions
are cut.
Yep.
Well, I'm not the best podcast, now am I?
That should be our name from now on.
Not the best podcast.
That's what your shirt says.
Look, my shirt says McStud.
Oh, I thought that was like the same thing.
Nope.
Nope.
It just means that I'm a stud who eats McDonald's.
Nope, Chuck Testa.
Fair point.
I'll be ready to wrap.
It's been months since you pulled that one out.
I always keep it in my back pocket.
I kind of figured that this would probably wind up being... Once we got like an hour in and we still hadn't gotten to the cutoff point.
No. God, this movie, just the fucking finale.
That is a climax.
Whereas Whereas Deep Red, I think, is his best film, and I love it, and Suspiria, I think, is his most famous film. This movie, for me, it's just it strikes all the boxes for me. It just that the final 20 minutes.
So points to compare to the original Clock Tower. We've got the disfigured kid.
Yes.
Who's hidden from the world. We've got the murderous mother who winds up getting killed by an animal that the lead character befriended earlier in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's Clock Tower the movie.
It really is. I say
it's as close as we're gonna get.
Yeah, play Clock Tower first and then watch this movie, because Clock Tower's a better experience overall.
Like, I had a much easier time processing the ending to that game than I did for this movie.
Well, I mean, the ending to that game is also batshit crazy, but it makes a hell of a lot more sense than this one.
Right.
The ending of fucking Clock Tower is goddamn... I'm trying to... It's fucking The Shine... Not even... No, that's way too confusing. It's, Yeah, it makes way more sense than this movie. I was gonna say it's like 2001: A Space Odyssey compared to this, but then I'm like, no, people don't even know what 2001's about.
It's about finding a way to become an advanced species.
An advanced space baby.
Yeah, that's actually the explanation that was cut from the movie.
Can you put me back in the Kubrick? I want to go back into Kubrick.
You don't even need to give me the baby. Alright, give me the baby. Alright, I'll take the baby. Alright, I'll take this baby.
So you said 7.5?
7.5, yes.
I give it a 6. I mean, it's a fun time, especially at the end, but...
I probably would have given it a lower score if not for how absolutely bonkers that conclusion was, which was just fun.
Let me just put it this way. I didn't intend to ever rewatch this movie after watching it the first time. Glad I did.
Unbiased, I'd give it a 7. Biased, I'd give it 10.
Right. Well, we can call it?
Yep.
I guess we'll call it, yeah.
All right.
That's it for this third spooky period video podcast for this by Spooktober.
What the fuck?
I don't know how to end things.
I'm leaving it here. I'm out of here. I've been VeeJay. You've been...
I've been Barry.
You've been...
I'm ProtoMet.
All right, we're out. See ya.
Bye.
So anyways, Smelly Porn Man.
What?